Well, hello there, and welcome to today's stream, where today we're going to be playing some Minecraft because thank God it's very chill and easy for me to play while I'm talking about stuff. So thank you, Minecraft. While also talking about honesty, because this has been something that's been on my mind for a little bit, and I really want to talk about what I've learned in terms of honesty, because as of late, I've had to really work on being honest with myself and how I feel about certain things, honest with coworkers, honest with friends. And it's not easy. And I'm not here to claim that it's easy at all. So I want to share what I'm learning in the process of all of this. Hello. So that way maybe you guys can get something from it and grow with me. So here we are. Here's what we're talking about. Let's jump right into it. Well, welcome back to thoughtraid, a community about friends, gaming, and better ways of thinking. I'm Brandon, and today we're going to be playing some Minecraft, and while doing that, I'm also going to be talking about honesty, because honestly, it is not something that's easy. It is something that I'm working on presently in my own life, and it is something that I'm kind of working through with myself, with my coworkers, and also with my friends. And it's something that's just kind of on my mind, especially right now. So I figured, hey, this will be the topic for today, and maybe you guys can learn something from it and grow with me in the process. So yes, that's what I'm talking about. So yes. And it's not, honestly, Calypso, it's not something that I'm going to talk about directly, but some of it has made me think about it, though, of what you're alluding to. But that is not actually what I'm fully going to be focusing on here. Rather, consider this to be kind of inspired from those events that you're referring to, Calypso. So, yes, it is inspired by it. But honest and truly, I'm going to be talking more about my part in all this, and what I'm learning in my own life, because I'd rather speak from how I'm doing and where I'm at and open myself up than to kind of go over little things here and there. So hopefully that will lay some things to rest for you. But it has been inspired by it in some ways, but it's actually also like a long train coming, because I have been legitimately learning a lot about honesty recently. And that's, again, what I'm going to be focusing on. But as I'm doing that, I'm also going to begin thinking about what is today's project, because I've got a few things done that I wanted to get done. One of my main goals for this server is to be able to have a whole arena, and I actually got that done, which I'm very proud of, because that's something I wanted to have. At some point, I want to have more and more PvP stuff going on in the server, and so now Drymore has a place for that to happen, and I also, at some point, would like to have, oh god, hello, like a whole huge one for big events, like some kind of Hunger Games level arena, because that'd be fun. But I haven't figured out where. Probably it's going to be someplace towards the center of the map, but I haven't decided where yet, and I'll see if I can create, like, transportation for getting to and from that place. But anyways, so alright, so we've got this done. We've got this arena that we've been building here, and I know that I need to build a bridge over to it, so that's one of my goals, is to get a bridge to it. And another goal that I have is to be able to have my own enchanted equipment, which is going to require me to have a library. So that is going to be one of my things I'm striving towards. So I guess the goal today is to continue working on this over here, which is the barn. Getting all the stuff that I need for that. Should be good on wood. Okay, cool. Sounds good, Jeremy. So I should be good on wood. I probably just need to work on it today. So we'll get working on that. Well, actually, no. I shouldn't start on that, because if I'm going to try to build something complex and not have a picture for it, that would be a little bit difficult. But anyways, before I get to all of that good stuff, how are you? How has your day been? Since you're the first one responding on the stream, I want to reach out to you specifically, Calypso. How has your day been? What have you been up to as of recently, if you're still listening in there? Because I'm curious. Let's see. Where? I should build it directly ahead, so I should start from the entrance and work my way over. Okay. And probably I'll need to have maybe a little bit of brick leading to here, and then build up from that. So we'll do that. Okay. Sorry for... Oh, you've had a good day. Okay, good. I'm glad. What has been the main thing that you've been up to today? Or is it been spring break for you, or have you had school today, out of curiosity? Because I think a lot of schools are out. I think we're getting ready for, like, Easter break or spring break or something. Been playing Minecraft all day. Mine was okay. Got my farm set up on Minecraft mode and stuff. Oh, wait. So, are you saying... Because all I can think of when you say that is that you've, like, mowed the, like, weeds in Minecraft, but I feel like you're referring to the grass in real life. Out of curiosity. Are you suggesting that you have mowed your yard? IRL? Okay, I figured. Okay. I was like, wait. Because there is grass, but it does not grow back unless you put down bone meal, so I was like, that can't be right. But I'm glad it's been mostly good. That's good. I'm glad for that. I'm glad for you in that way. Good. Good. My day has been fine, mostly. It's the first day of the week that my boss is out of town. She's having her own, spring break with her daughter, and they're off doing something. So she was out, so I was kind of, like, managing today and figuring stuff out. And it was slow, so I didn't have to worry about too much. I worked on organizing the kids' wall in the stock room, because it was way out of order. So I got that all fixed and taken care of, which I'm happy that's done with now. Sweet. I look forward to it. Good. So yeah, today has been mostly I'd say a relatively chill day. I got most of the projects that my boss had for me done, which I'm happy about. And now, I get to rest. And I do not have to be up early tomorrow, because I am closing tomorrow, and that's nice. I always enjoy that. So I'll probably, after the stream, make myself something to eat. And enjoy something. We'll see. But yeah! The thing I want to talk about today is honesty. Because I have been learning... I'd say the two biggest areas that I've been learning about honesty right now is being honest with myself and being honest with my workers, my co-workers. Because that's been difficult. Because it's not like, to be fair, it's not like I'm lying to them. But at the same time, I've definitely been forced in situations that requires me to be more honest than I'm comfortable with. Or upfront about stuff, I guess you could say. And it's been making me think a lot, because I don't know what it is, but the past week and some change, yeah, the past week and some change, I have made some mistakes that I could potentially be fireable over, which makes it very tempting to be dishonest about. I had this situation that came up last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't remember if it was 2 weeks ago or last week, but it was definitely talked about last week, where I had a customer come in, talk about dishonesty here. I had a customer come in, and she picked up like $600 dollars worth of product. Like, I'm not saying like picked up like, you know, like, oh, she just shanghaied it out the door. More specifically, she came in, she got like a bunch of shirts, some pants, 2 pairs of shoes, and there was some signs in retrospect. They're like, this is a little bit shady, like, because she like wanted like these pairs of 990s, and she was being a little bit indiscriminate in which sizing to get. Like, she was just grabbing whatever I had, which generally in the shoe industry, if a customer comes up and they're like, hey, I would like to get this shoe in a size 6, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have it in a size 6, and they're like, well, do you have it in a size 7? And then like you bring it out and like, oh yeah, that'll work. Usually, and I guess I'm like over applying this here, but like if it's like if they go from one size and they go to another size without trying it on, without testing to see if it works, that could be theft. This could be a person trying to swindle their way into getting more than no one does that. Yeah, okay. Wrong. She did that. But that can often be a sign that they're trying to steal. They're not actually trying to, like, buy anything. They're trying to see what they can get away with so they can probably take it home, turn it back around for a profit. Because, again, they're just kind of buying indiscriminately. And they often pair that up with using fake money or, you know, something, whatever. So, this happened to me. She came in, she's buying $600 worth of product. Several shirts, accessories, 2 pairs of shoes, supposedly for her sister's birthday. Cool. She comes in, she tries to pay for it, card gets blocked. I should have been like, wait a minute, maybe this is not a good idea, but in my brain, I'm thinking to myself, because, like, let me be upfront. She wasn't being mean, okay? She wasn't, you know, like, she wasn't being necessarily aggressive in, like, I would say, can't do this, and then she would say, oh, no, what do I do? So she was flustered, so she was flustered, I'm flustered, and she's trying to, like, help me through the process, which is another red flag. Hello, Zap. Another red flag of, like, if someone's just, like, trying to help you get their card approved, you know, there's no real, you know, the best thing they can do is call their card company and hope that sucker, you know, gets, you know, unblocked so they can purchase their stuff. By the way, Zap, we're talking about honesty, and I'm kind of sharing my stories of moments where I've either been dishonest or have learned or have, like, triumphed over an opportunity that I could have been dishonest, but was honest anyways, and just kind of sharing what I've been learning. So she's not being aggressive, she's being flustered, but she is just doing one odd thing after the next, even to the point of, like, oh, you were exploiting a game so I could pull a Heisenberg and cook glass candy infinitely without cops attack. What? Oh, blue glass candy infinitely. What game are you talking about? What game involves making candy and not dealing with the cops? Is it GTA or something? Like, I don't payday. Huh? I vastly do not understand Payday, then, if you can frickin' make candy. Huh? Avoiding the cops. Like, avoiding the cops part, I guess I understand that. And blue glass candy is not what it actually... Oh, okay. I see. Candy. Got it. Okay. Wink, I got it. Cook blue glass candy infinitely without... I can't guess what it is. I guess that it's a euphemism for something else. That's all I got. But what it is specifically, I don't get it. You're gonna have to be more direct about that. Because I've never played Payday or any sort of heist game. Heisenberg. Stealing diamonds, I guess. Is that what it is? Talking about stealing diamonds? Because isn't Heisenberg something to do with diamonds? I don't know. I don't know these things, Zap. I don't play Payday, and I don't really look too deep into robberies. Like, there's some that I'm aware of, but... No, I did not watch Breaking Bad. I did not watch Better Call Saul. No. My friends love it a lot, so maybe at some point I'll watch it. But that's not necessarily my normal cup of tea. Yes, instead, I did watch some more Violet Evergarden. That was great. More crying my eyes out every day I watch it, because it's freaking wonderful. But no, that was not watched that. Crystal meth. Okay, so it's literally meth. Got it. Okay, cool. Sweet. I did not know that was what it was referring to. Now I know. I've been educated. Thanks. I've been educated on drugs by a Canadian. Oh, I feel like it should be the other way around, but oh well. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There. So anyways, 1, 2, 3. The topic is on honesty. Good to know. I know that, like, my friend Dan, who's been on a couple times, he loves Better Call Saul, which I know is connected in the universe of Breaking Bad. So it's got it on my radar just because of that. I wasn't taking them, just selling them for millions of dollars. And also because they give a lot of XP. I see. Yeah, God forbid. Gosh. Have you, Kenneth, watched Better Call Saul? I guess, considering that you've watched Breaking Bad and know the correlation between the two? Because I have not. All I'm told by Dan is that don't do drugs, just sell them. I was told by Dan that he loves it because it's a great example of show, not tell. And I don't know if you can confirm that statement. Couldn't get into Better Call Saul. Got it. I was gonna get, speaking of all that, I was gonna get, what was it called? Get into The Office. But right as I was about to get into The Office, they took it out of Netflix. And I never did. RIP. I know and I'm aware of some references to it, but I unfortunately do not have the hands-on experience with it. I probably should just convert this stone to other kind of stone. Wasted my time going to find more stone. I know, it's sad. I need to find... I don't have a streaming service presently that has The Office. So, what? I can't recut it? Well, that's dumb. Can I do this? Oops. Can I revert it somehow? Nope. It's just permanently like that. Cool. RIP. Since when has this big, massive stone building been here? This has been here... This was here last episode, on Saturday. I had started building it, I think, on Wednesday, and I finished it on Friday, question mark. But this massive building was made recently, made by yours truly, as I was trying to make a arena for people to do PvP in. I know I have way too much time in my hands, but you have way too much time on your... Oh, Zap, how little you know. That is incorrect. It looks like I have a lot of time on my hands because I'm always playing games when I'm doing thoughtraid, but I do not have a lot of time on my hands. This week I am working just about 40 hours. Part of my work is technically Thought Raid. Like, I am coming on here and I'm playing games. But don't get me wrong, I am doing this because I am connecting with you guys, and I enjoy that, and that is a part of what I want to do. But it is also, it takes hours of my time that I could be doing hermity things, so that takes some time. Not to mention the hour of time that I spend before I go live, actually, some days it's 2 hours of time before I go live on Thought Raid, as I am praying about what I want the topic to be, and then making sure the live stream is up and running properly like I want it to be, which is why sometimes I'm late. Sunday was my day off, but I had church, then I moved Noah out of the house. He now has his own apartment. Hey! And then after that, what did I do? I ended up going to my aunt and uncle's house to celebrate my birthday on my family side. So I've done my friend birthday. Now I just got done with my family birthday. And in between that, I spent time like talking to people, just kind of coordinating stuff when I was in between all that. Today I've got work, then I have Thought Raid, which I'm doing right now. Tomorrow, I work, and then I'll be taking a walk with a friend. Wednesday, I'm off, but I'll have to get a haircut in the beginning part of my day, and then I might have to get groceries. I'm not sure. Depends. But then I'll be going to, like, a small group where I'll be talking to a bunch of guys. Oh, no. You got me mayonnaise. No, please, no. My birthday was technically March 10th. So I've already had my birthday, celebrated and everything. It's just my family celebrated birthday was yesterday. Because I had a aunt and uncle that is not normally in the vicinity that came to help out my other aunt and uncle get their yard in order. So I held my birthday until then for the family until yesterday. So that's technically what it was. And the cookies that you provided for us could be counted as a gift towards that. So I'll take the cookie as payment. Yeah, tomorrow I've got work, and then I have gonna be hanging out with a friend for the rest of the night, and then Wednesday haircut, possibly groceries, spending time with my small group, working through my feelings and everything, as I do on Wednesdays. Thursday, I've got work again, and then I'm gonna be hanging out with you, Kenneth, which I'm excited for, and then after that, I'll be talking with you, Jeremy, so I'm looking forward to that. Friday, work again, Thought Raid afterwards. Saturday, work again, Thought Raid afterwards. And then Sunday, I have a bachelor party to be hosting and or, taking everyone to, and that'll be fun. And that'll be going on from Sunday until Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, I will have those days off, only to turn back around, do wedding prep, and then a wedding on Saturday, and rinse and repeat. So, generally speaking, Zap, I have at least 50 to sometimes 60 hours of work a week. You missed it, Zap. I was explaining how busy my week actually is. You had mentioned that I have way too much time in my hand. I was like, BS. You do not know how much I have to do. And then I explained, and you missed it all. But I was explaining that I have a very busy... I did. That's how busy my life is. So, get wrecked. No, in all actuality, I work, generally speaking, if you consider Thought Raid to be work, I work roughly about 50 to sometimes 60 hours a week, depending. Usually it's around 50, and then in between all that work, then I also have time that I'm spending with friends, continuing to build into my friendships, and time that I have to get other things done, like Thursday I'm getting a haircut, and maybe also not Thursday, Wednesday getting a haircut, maybe also groceries, so it's my day off, but I'm still working. So incorrect. So I've got a lot going on. Joke's on you, I have got school 35 hours a week. Oh. Golf rules, I win. I see. Yes, wouldn't that be nice? The less you work, the more you've worked. And wouldn't that be an interesting backward society? So yeah, no, I work. I have a lot that I do, but it's good, and I feel like I'm in a relative sweet spot where I don't feel overwhelmed. So I've got just enough. I literally, there is a threshold of not work, like having enough like stuff going on in my life, stress that I'm working through, to not being stressed, that I feel most comfortable in. If I am too unchallenged, I am just as uncomfortable if I'm over challenged. Like I have a threshold. So that's fun. I feel like that's like an adult thing. I feel like as an adult, you kind of learn over time, like your boundaries of what like degree of having work to not having work you wish to deal with. And I literally, if I'm under challenged, it's just as uncomfortable if I'm over challenged. It's great. Ah, I forgot that I had that there. So yeah, honesty. That's the topic. That's what I'm covering today, because honesty is not easy. And I was in the middle of telling a story when you came in, Zap. And I'm going to continue to tell my story. You were there for none of it, correct? And are you still there, technically? You might be gone, because you stopped responding. Let's see. We can put that there, because I don't need this, and I can put that there, and organize it this way. Put this netherite there. I was really just typing out. Anyways, yeah! You know the cadence of how I do things. Congratulations. Oh, gosh. So, I've been telling this story, Zap, about this very recent opportunity for me to lie that I've been experiencing because of a bad mistake that I made at work, where I allowed a customer to walk away with $600 worth of product, like 2 pairs of shoes, several pairs of shirts and pants and whatnot. And my ears are all yours. Don't do anything with them. Okay, I see. How are you going to give me your ears and you won't allow me to speak things into them? I mean, I have to at least do that much. Come on now. It is required. But yeah, very recently, my friend, I ended up letting $600 worth walk out the door. That was very embarrassing. And to be fair, this is a library. Well, too bad. This is the library. No quiet here. Only loud. I only have one volume, and it is Scream. Anyways, so yeah, I ended up having this woman walk in, and, to be fair, this is the quiet brary. Oh, good. Congratulations. And, she came into the store, and she was in need of, like I said, a couple pairs of shoes, clothing, whatever, for her sister's supposed birthday. And she wasn't aggressive about it. Like, it was, to be fair, the situation was a little bit different than anything that I had handled before. I never, usually, when I have someone trying to steal something from me and make me make mistakes so that way they can get away with whatever they're stealing, usually they're aggressive about it. And yes, I was. But usually they're aggressive about it, and it becomes very obvious, and it's easier to say no to an aggressive person. But she was not. She was not aggressive about it. She seemed more flustered. How dare you have empathy? I know. Unfortunately, it can be exploited. But she was being more flustered in the situation. When her card got blocked, she put her phone on speakerphone, and she tried to supposedly contact her bank. They asked her a litany of questions that would, help determine, her identity. And I was thinking this was a strange thing, but potentially legitimate. Because, again, I'd never quite encountered that before. I had encountered stuff like it, but it was not apples to apples. And there's just, in retrospect, again, I can now see the obvious warning signs, but at the moment, I was just like, this is strange, but I don't want her to feel overly embarrassed. It would be very embarrassing for your card to be declined. I've had plenty of people that have happened to them, and they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine, But, she, the bank kept having her, do different things to try to get this thing approved, including things like, you'll need to put in this approval information into the check area, but she didn't have a physical check. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So I was able to, hold back that, at least. But then, there's just other things that she did that was just, strange. And in retrospect, I could see, that she's probably trying to rob me. But needless to say, after all that, and even also contacting another manager to help me with the process, I still ended up going through something that resulted in losing the store $600. And all while in the process of me working through communication issues between me and my boss, which we're making it through. Actually, that has been getting better. As I've been kind of figuring out where my boundaries end and hers begin. What my responsibilities are, what hers are. But obviously losing a store $600, I don't want to necessarily. Yeah, I know. Okay, Zap, I know. Yes, the traditional. Oh yes, they will never miss it anyways because they're a $1 billion corporation. I know, but regardless if they will miss the money, I will miss the money because that stuff affects my job and it affects my security. People can get fired for that, and I need a job in order for me to bring you thoughtraid. Right now, thoughtraid is not at a place where I can just, drop everything and this is my, one job. So until that point, where I work pays the bills. And when you make financial problems like that for a company, regardless of how rich they are, it does not look good, especially if you are attempting to move up the ladder and to make more money through the company. Does not look good on your resume to say, oops, I lost the company $600. It's not like, oops, someone rushed into the store, robbed us, and ran out, or oops, I forgot to give them the right change, or oops, whatever. It's a decent amount of money. So needless to say, I was scared, because I was like, oh no, this is not good. And very tempted to be dishonest about it because, again, my job is on the line. But I had worked on, for a large portion of my life now, I've been working on being honest no matter what. And sometimes I get it right, and sometimes I don't get it right. And sometimes I'm too honest. But I have been learning to be honest is better, and the results of being honest is much more favorable than when you're being dishonest. Yeah. Because I've learned a lot, okay? I've made a lot of mistakes. in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. No. In the beginning, I grew up in a Christian family, and I'm very fortunate that my family, I believe, it was pretty well-rounded, because I know a lot of families that can get weird, and they can be very religious, and they can be judgmental and reject people for making mistakes. That's not my parents. That's not my family. But my parents did the best that they could, and they raised me a specific way, and they're like, this is right, this is wrong, do this, don't do this, whatever. And they explained to me, like, my parents have always been honest to me about where they're at, what they've been through, so that I know why something is wrong. I don't have to guess. Like, for instance, my parents, they don't like cussing. I don't really care as much on cussing. I've had long backs and forths on it. I'm not still exactly sure where I stand on it entirely, but I don't and will not judge anyone who cusses. But they're uncomfortable with it because my mom grew up in a more, not physically abusive family, but definitely verbally. And so not very kind things were said to her. And so she raised up in that, and they, of course, would cuss her out and cuss everything out. And, you know, they would get drunk, and they would get worse. And so she grew up under that. So she didn't want that for me because she saw how it affected my granddad. And she, you know, wanted me to, you know, have a better life than he did and not make the same mistakes my granddad did. So that was kind of how my parents presented me, you know, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. It often did so with real-life examples of why things are right or wrong. But one of the things that I've always been raised on is that homosexuality is not good. And that is something that I have personally internalized as truth. It's not something that my parents said it, therefore it must be. That is something I've legitimately internalized. And over the years, I've figured out more and more why. Not just from a biblical standpoint, but also from a scientific standpoint and psychological standpoint. And I know it's politically incorrect, and I know I could get easily canceled for that, and I don't care. That's where I'm at, this is where I believe. But I've also struggled with same-sex attraction since I was very young. That's always been the case. No one abused me. No one manipulated me. I was, by all intents and purposes, born that way. And so when I got introduced to porn, when I was 12, I didn't want to talk about that because, you know, my parents have had conversations about that, and I knew that they wouldn't like that. And one day, they ended up finding out about that, and boy, was that embarrassing when they discovered that I was struggling with porn. Because, of course, it wasn't, you know, heterosexual porn. It was homosexual porn. And that was embarrassing. And definitely didn't want to talk about that. Yeah. But I came out to them about my struggles with it in that moment, because what was I going to do? You know, I'm an only child, so I didn't really have the luxury of hiding behind my siblings as, oh, they did it. Like, if anything happened, it would be my fault because I didn't have siblings to blame. And so, we ended up having conversations about it. Mom cried. You know, they were disappointed, but they didn't stop loving me. And I'm very fortunate about that. They didn't stop loving me. They didn't reject me. What ended up happening, yes, I'm building a bridge, yes. I'm building a bridge to get over it. They didn't. When I came out to them what I was dealing with and everything, they didn't reject me for it. They weren't really surprised entirely either because of other things in my life. And they loved me through it. And so they ended up getting me counseling through the church about what I was dealing with. And so I ended up getting counseled by other men who had dealt with similar things that went to my church. And it was not easy. It was very uncomfortable and awkward, especially in the beginning, kind of working through that. And it didn't really fix the issue right away either, because for me, what I was dealing with was more so linked to fear of rejection than it was that I was actually like, yes, this is truly what I want with my life. Like, rejection for me has always been like a trigger to go to porn. And so I would get counseling, but I was still struggling. And so I would end up like getting clean and then going for like a year, and then I would end up stuck in it again, and I wouldn't tell my parents about it until they found out, and then I would be clean, and then we'd go through counseling, and then it would be 6 months, and then it was 3 months, and then it was a month, and then it was weeks, and then days, and then it was just a constant thing that I really didn't get unstuck from until I was 19. And even still, it's not like I'm like completely through the woods with it. I still struggle with it. But the being honest with what I was dealing with and talking to my parents about it, and also counselors about it, it got the ball rolling in my recovery process as I've been working through addictions. And it set the stage, I think, for the next big area of me being honest, which was me being honest with my friends. Because once I got comfortable talking to my parents and adults about my struggles, I had to then be honest with my friends with my struggles, which was arguably worse and harder for me to be honest about than it was to be with my parents. But again, I'm an only child, so being honest with my parents was more of like a necessity than it was a hard thing. Like, it was just like, it just was what it was. And again, I really feel like my parents are like not very toxic. They have their flaws, but they are loving. And so I didn't have to deal with, stuff that would make it very hard to be honest with them. However, growing up in the 2000s, and going to high school in that time, it was in a time where homosexuality was not widely accepted. It was starting to be, but you would still in school be bullied for it, and rejected. And once I had moved to North Carolina, I did not have a lot of friends, at all. I felt very alone, very isolated. It's like I moved from Florida to North Carolina, and everyone was speaking a different language. It was still English, but they were speaking a completely different language than what I spoke as a son of Northerners. Because if any of you have been to like places like Pennsylvania or New York, people are a little bit more direct in the North than they are in the South. In the South, they're not bad people, they're just more indirect, and they definitely, there's a bit of xenophobia in the South. Please don't hit me. Especially not with your sword that takes out a good portion of my hearts. Thank you. I need more cooked stone. And so, and not to say that everyone in the South, not to say that everyone in the South, isn't direct, but at least a lot of people that I encountered did, and a lot of them. And when I say xenophobic, I'm not saying that like the people in the South are like I know that the South gets a bad rap for racism, and in some places there is, well, that's good. In some places. What xenophobia? I'll explain that in just a second. In some places, there can be some racism in the South, but at least in the areas that I'm at, there isn't a lot of it. But xenophobia is the fear of people that are, or things that are different than you. You can apply it to aliens, but you can also apply it to human beings. Like, if they're different, regardless if they're different race or different ethnicity or different way of thinking, just the fear effectively of the unknown. In the South, there are a lot of people that I've encountered that are more cliquey, and they are very comfortable with what they're used to and not very comfortable reaching out to people that don't think like them. Yeah, fear, well, kinda, in a sense, but that's a bit broad. But then again, to be fair, that's also the human condition, so I can't say it's exclusive to the South. It's just I've noticed it more in the South than I've noticed it in the North. Because in the South, at least in North Carolina, like, people will be kind to you, but then they won't invite you to things. They won't include you in what they're doing. You'll just kind of find out secondhand. And it sucks really bad because you have to end up reading between the lines of what they actually mean. Like, they just don't say directly what they mean. In the North, more often than not, if they don't like you, they'll just tell you they don't like you, and they won't pretend to like you. So they still won't, invite you and include you in things, but at least they won't lie about it. But in the South, they'll bless your heart, and they'll be sweet and kind to you, all while maybe gossiping about you or just not including you in things. So there's just not the same degree of directness, at least the area that I'm in. I can't speak for all of the South, but at least in the area that I've been and what I've experienced thus far, that is the crap that I've dealt with. And so, being an only child with northern parents that has learned to generally be direct, that did not gel well with the people that I encountered at first in North Carolina. So it was like they were speaking a whole nother language that I had figured out. I was an only child, yes. Oh, you too? Okay, cool, sweet. Nice. So, I say all that to say, you now sound like, yeah. Living here most of my life has definitely caused that to happen. When you live in North Carolina for, how many years has it been now? Like, over 20 years? Yeah, you would end up having that happen. Okay, sweet. So I say all that to say, the reason why I bring that up is because in the beginning of the first several years that I lived in North Carolina, up until college, I did not have a lot of friends. And I did not know how to make friends because it seemed like every person that I tried to reach out to just was not interested in being friends with me. So couple that with dealing with homosexual thoughts and a pornography addiction, and yeah, I don't want to talk about it with people my age because I barely have friends to begin with, and I don't want to lose the very few friends that I do have because they think I'm some kind of creep or weirdo or whatever, or I'm going to come on to them or something. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about what I'm dealing with. I just want to put that away, and I don't have problems. So even though I got very comfortable talking about it with, a pastor or different people in the church that were my adults, I was not about to talk about it with people my age. But God had other plans. And he was not about to let me, not talk about it ever. And so what I wanted deep down is I wanted deep, meaningful relationships with people that I can trust, people that I can open up my heart to. And to answer your question, Jeremy, I just talked a little bit about my background because I've been talking about the areas I've been learning to be honest with. I wouldn't say that I used to be gay. I wouldn't go quite that far. But I was explaining how I was giving examples of areas where I learned to be honest in, starting with my parents, now working my way towards friends. All while I will say, all while I have learned to be honest with God. Now that one was a constant, but it helped. It did honestly help that my parents still loved me through what I was struggling with. So that helped a lot on how I interacted with God. Because my parents, fortunately, were not very hypocritical. They made honest mistakes, and I knew it, and it was obvious. So I never projected how I felt about God or my parents onto God because I had good parents. Someone clipped the part where I used and cut everything out. God. Yes, Brandon out of context. Yes, please. Oh, God. So I was explaining all that. And then, so now I was getting into me being honest with my friends. Because first I had to be honest with my parents, and that sucked. Then I had to be honest with my friends, which sucked even more. Not in the sense of it didn't go well, but in the sense of it was very humiliating. But very healing at the same time. Because like I was saying, one of my triggers towards porn was fear of rejection. If I feel like the people that I want in my life are rejecting me, something about that just makes me, I don't know, want comfort in the moment. And boy, no. Unfortunately, porn can give that, and it's not good. But I had to be honest with my friends, because that's where the real being stuck came from. Because I felt like if I were to be honest with my friends with my struggles, they would reject me. I would have no friends. Because if they saw what I was really dealing on the inside, they would hate me, ridicule me, leave me alone, whatever. It would become awkward. I would have no friends. That'd be it. And that's not the case. And I learned that on that day where I decided. So I remember it was October 25th, 2011. We were in a leadership class. And we had been talking about this thing called the hot seat, because in the leadership class, the goal of that class was to teach the students how to obviously lead, but lead a business / ministry or whatever. And they were reading over. Yeah, that's exactly why I need Christian friends. That does help. But they were reading over the 5 dysfunctions of a team, and they were talking about the need for a team to be able to be vulnerable with each other, because it helps with business synergy, it helps with growing and everything. You know, you can't, some people have to be vulnerable for the team to be strong. And one of the things that was a part of that was something called the hot seat. And the way the hot seat worked was you would come up to the, a chair, whatever, in front of the whole team, and you'd be like, hello, my name is Brandon, this is a little bit about me, and this is what I'm, this is a little bit about my past that I'm not, proud of or whatever. Because what it does is, when you share your struggles with other people, it helps them feel safe and not alone, and it builds trust between you and the other person. And then it also helps weed out toxic people too, because if the whole group is being open and vulnerable and a person isn't, and you confront them, you'll be able to see that and you'll be able to confront them about it. And if you do that and they don't change, then you're like, okay, this person isn't a good fit for the team. Like, you need to have people that are willing to make mistakes and admit and own their mistakes. And a person that's unwilling to talk about where they're strong, where they're weak in, is also not willing to talk about their mistakes when they make them. So it's a team building thing, team building exercise, trust building exercise. So we're doing that, and I loved the concept of that because I'm a big show and tell kind of guy, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be the first one up. I'm gonna talk about what I'm, who I am, what I struggle with. It's gonna be great. And so I'm the first one to the hot seat, and I'm like, all right, my name is Brandon, and I used to feel very rejected, and I didn't really have a lot of confidence, and God's been working on that, and I've been getting better with that, which is fair and honest and true. But the problem is that after I went up, the people that came next were like, well, hello, I'm so-and-so, and I was an alcoholic. I'm so-and-so, and I had sex outside of marriage. I'm so-and-so, and I, also have a pornography addiction, whatever. Or not also, but have a pornography addiction. I'm like, oh my God. Like, how are these people talking about this very vulnerable, very, deep stuff? And God convicted my heart. And at the end of that, the pastor/teacher was like, you may make, I do not know off the top of my head, and I cannot tell you right now because I'm focused on other things, John. So I'll get back to that later. But it has something to do with right-clicking. Yeah, it has something to do with right-clicking the waypoint, and then there's a place in there that you can rename stuff. But you can help him. No, not Pastor Matt. Although Pastor Matt does know some of the stuff that I've dealt with. Like, I've talked to him about it. And I've also talked with him about thoughtraid and everything, too. So he knows about all that kind of stuff. Anyways, no, we're talking about another pastor. His name was Pastor Dillard. Pastor Danny Dillard. You don't know him, probably. Maybe you know him. You went to Agape, too. You might know him. But probably not. Anyways, he came up and he was like, well, you may struggle and sin something like, I don't know, 12 times in your life, and you may have made the 10th mistake. And God's not going to look in that and think, gosh darn it, Brandon just, sinned again. What a loser. I don't want him in my life. He's going to hell, whatever. No, he looks at it and he sees, no, Brandon is just 2 victories away. And he's not saying Brandon in this moment. He's just using an example. Brandon is just 2 losses away from victory, and he rejoices and gets excited over that. And that really hit me in the moment. So as everyone in there starts getting up and the class is ending, I raise my hand and I'm like, I'm petrified to say this, but I deal with porn, and specifically homosexual porn. And what ended up happening is I was honest with what I was dealing with. They all got up, they came around me, they hugged me, and they prayed for me. And I cried because I needed to get that off my chest. I needed to let them know what I was dealing with. And by doing so, it broke, for the first time ever, it truly broke the addiction off of me. Not to say that it went away completely, but for a solid 7 years after that point, I did not touch porn again. And I had joined, after that point, accountability groups with my friends. I joined accountability groups with my friends in that school. One of which is still in my life, Dan. And for the next several months, we just kind of got together and just talk about what we were struggling with. And I found very quickly that a lot of guys deal with similar things. I'm not some strange alien out there, the only one who deals with that kind of stuff. So it was very healing when I decided to be honest in that moment with what I was struggling with. It was rewarded with love and deeper friendships that just kind of got better and better from that point. So first I had to work on being honest with my parents. Then I had to work on being honest with my friends. And as I started to do that, I began to find deeper and deeper friendships. Like Dan, because Dan, he's been a friend for me for over a decade now. I have not had a more compassionate, loving, deep, meaningful friendship with other people like I have with Dan. And it began when I decided to be vulnerable and to talk about be honest with what I was dealing with. And as I began to get healthier and I began talking about my struggles, my capacity to be a better friend to other people also improved. It's amazing. I don't think I will ever have any way around words like Brandon. I don't understand what you're saying there. What was it? And then I forgot what I was saying. Crap. As I began to be honest with what I was dealing with, I began to become a better person for other people. Good morning. Good morning, Gaming Warrior. Actually, I kind of want to make this. This is too steep of an incline. I need to fix this. Anyways, I'm telling stories, Gaming Warrior. So bear with me. Today's a story day. We're talking about honesty, and I'm using my life as examples to it. I've talked about I've been upfront and talking about like my struggles with loneliness, and porn addiction and all that kind of stuff as examples to honesty. Oh God, Zaf, already getting started on that, are you now? Misquoting things. Not right now. That'll have to be later. It's easy to cut down a tree. Well, it's hard to raise and nurture the same tree for half of your life. That's true. So anyways, been talking about that stuff. And so I was getting into explaining that, like, after being honest with my parents what I was struggling with, then I had to begin being honest with my friends what I was struggling with. And that was an important part of my growth. Because for me, I was explaining to everyone... Oh my God. I was explaining to everyone that I'm an only child, and I've spent most of my life in the South, which speaks a different language than Northerners do in America. Like, Northerners are more generally more direct, and they're not going to say that they like you when they don't like you. But Southerners are more likely to, like I said, bless your heart, tell you tell you nice things, but then they just don't show up in your life when you want them. Think about the church, Brandon. Oh no, the church! How could it hear such things? But I was explaining how it was easier for me to talk about my struggles with my parents, with adults, because I was an only child, so I was very used to adults. But being in the South, being with a whole bunch of people that were different from me, that didn't know how to interact with me, it was a lot harder. And so I've been talking about that. So I got up to the place where I was talking about how, okay, my parents became aware of what I was dealing with, and I began being honest with them and my pastors about what I was dealing with. And again, I'm actually very grateful to both them and my church at the time, because Agape also didn't reject me for what I was struggling with. They wanted to help me through it. They had people in their own counseling group that had dealt with, not just, like, looked at, like, homosexual porn, but actually went and lived a homosexual lifestyle and came out of it. And they freaking employed people like that. So it's like they were not afraid to talk about that kind of stuff that I could see. I am, but this is why you gotta be on time, Gaming Warrior, because I can't just keep infinitely repeating myself every time a new person comes on. So wake up earlier. I don't know. I joke. But anyways, so I got used to talking to my parents about it, got used to talking to the church about it. Then I had to tell my peers about it, because like I said, I didn't have a lot of friends when I moved to North Carolina. I didn't really fit in because, again, they practically spoke a different language. They're just not as direct as Northerners are, and so I would say and do things that would offend them, and they wouldn't tell me, and then I just wouldn't be invited to things anymore. And so it was very lonely, and I felt ostracized, especially when I was in middle school. Oh my God, that was the worst. Many a day I came back crying, feeling like I didn't have a community to be a part of. And it's a huge reason why thoughtraid exists too, because I've been on the other side of having no one that accepted me for who I was and loved me. And I do not want other people to have to go through that if I can help it. So that's another reason why I do as I do. So I ended up getting to college. I ended up talking to my peers about it in my leadership class of all things, as we were talking about, you know, business and other things. And the quiet kid in the room, most of my fellow classmates ignored me, and most of the people that talked with me were the teachers, not normal talks, but for getting scolded. So that there's a little bit of similarity. I wasn't necessarily the quiet. I was not the quiet kid, but I was the kid that didn't fit in. So in that respect, not for my quietness, but more so for my being different, that ended up getting me to be the outsider. So I can relate in some ways. But anyways, so. College, I end up revealing to the whole class, hey, I'm dealing with porn. I'm specifically dealing with, like, homosexual porn. I'm not proud of it. Cried. They all came around me. They hugged me. They prayed over me. They told me they loved me. They weren't rejecting me or anything. It was very good. And that broke the addiction off of me for the first time, truly. So in that moment, I was rewarded for my honesty with deeper friendships and an opportunity to be known in a new way that I had not been known before, so that part of me could heal. And it was good. And I ended up, getting involved with support groups with other guys, because, fun fact, like, you may deal with, attraction towards men, or attraction towards women, or attraction towards other things. But, like, a lot of the mechanics are pretty similar when it comes to porn and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people will actually understand what you're dealing with in that area. You don't have to be alone in that. And that's something I learned in that time. And as I began to be open about what I was struggling with and dealing with, I ended up having deeper and deeper friendships because of that with other guys. And I was able to heal. And so it was like rapturous for me. It was like, oh my God, I was scared to tell the truth about what I was dealing with, and I didn't want to talk about it. But here I find that instead of being rejected for it, which honestly happened a lot when I was in high school, I saw the people, you know, and I saw it in other years before that point, didn't want to deal with that. Didn't happen. My fears didn't come true. And I was able to begin to explore why was I dealing with porn? Why was I struggling in those particular areas? And examine it truthfully with myself as well. So, as I got comfortable being honest with my parents and adults, then I began working on being comfortable being honest with people my own age. As I got comfortable being honest with people my own age, then I began working on being honest in other places as well. I had already, because of the way my parents loved me and was there for me, I was already able to be honest with God with what I was dealing with. Plus, I knew that God is everywhere, so it's not like there's anything he misses. It doesn't know. So between those two things, I had no problem being honest with him. And so being honest with him, being honest with friends, then began having to work on being honest with myself. Which is not to say that I, intentionally lied to myself, but oftentimes if you're not lying to yourself, you could still be subject to hiding things from yourself, because you kind of almost have to hide it from yourself because you watch other people who are dealing with a similar thing, and when they deal with it, they end up getting hurt for it, and so, or you may be told this thing is wrong, so you don't want to actually examine it for sake of your own morality and well-being. But you still have to be honest with where you're at about it and face it. And so as you learn to be truthful with others, you have to learn also to be truthful with yourself. And that's its own challenge. It's not, for me, it's not so much of a challenge of like, ugh, I hate being truthful with myself, but more so I have to be patient with myself. Because it takes time to change things about yourself that you don't like or just not working out well. And a part of that is patience, and a part of that is honesty. So, using this story of my process through coming out of a porn addiction, the next thing I had to work on is facing different things and being honest about different things. Please read the whole story. You're talking about your whole story, Gaming Warrior? Because if you're asking me to do that, I'm going to have to do that after I finish this line of thought, because I don't want to keep losing this line of thought. Because then this will take forever for me to get through this story. But, okay. So, yeah, give me some time to get it back around to that, Gaming Warrior. I will try to get back to that. I'm going to put a pin of that in my head so that I can come back and read your story. I can scroll through the comments and find it if it gets lost. Yeah. Cool. So, being honest with yourself. That's something that's like the current phase of my life right now, and it's been a walking process. The first thing, there's a couple things that I had to like face once I got out of the addiction the first time. The first thing I had to face was I had to recognize that just as much as women are attractive, men are attractive too. They just are. And I can't hide from handsome people. Like, and there's nothing wrong with finding people attractive, regardless if they're a man or a woman. Doesn't really matter. Nothing wrong with that. But I had to be honest with myself in that and not hide from that reality. And by being honest with myself in that area, I was able to overcome a lot of anxiety that revolved around my sexuality, and who I was. So I had to do that, and by being honest in that area, I was able to calm down. Because effectively, very early on, I pretty much looked down at the ground whenever I encountered a handsome person. I would not look them in the eye, because it would be embarrassing for me. My face would get red and everything, and I was not a fan of that. Because, again, fear of rejection, anxiety. But God literally had me, like, look up and, like, face what I was afraid of, and afraid of what would happen, which then effectively, again, depowered the whole situation. I was like, okay, moving on. And it made a whole big difference there, in that regard. And then from there, I had to be honest about, let's see, what was the process? My attractions, I had to be honest with, I'm trying to think, because there was areas of growth that I had, and then there was areas of honesty within the growth that I had to have. I can't think of them. I can think of some, but it's out of order, so oh well. More recently, we'll jump ahead to more recently. More recently, I've had to become honest with myself when it came to needs, and I've talked about this. Oh, go away, wraiths. Do not punch me. Get out of here. Or phantoms, whatever you are. Let me get out of your purview. Let me go to sleep here so I don't have to deal with this. Okay. No, how? What? Get out of here. There we go. Guy frickin' followed me into the arena just so it could die. Don't punch me, John. I swear to God. I will wake up out of this bed and I will put a sword into your face. I'm watching you. I see you. You've hit me multiple times with that extremely powerful sword. Ahem! I'm coming for you. I promised you. I told you. You do that, you're gonna get hit. Come back here. There we go. Let it be said that I'm a man of my word. Anyways. So, there you go. Die, please. Thank you. Alright, so. Recently, I've had to learn to become honest with my needs. While some people have a hard time with what they want in life, I have a hard time with what I need. And I've oftentimes... it's not like... Yeah. I've oftentimes wanted to just take my needs, put my needs into a box, say I don't have needs, and put that box in a safe and lock it away. Because I have had my needs either be used or misused, or I've been rejected over my needs. And especially since I'm a sensitive guy, and I'm learning that my family is also a pretty sensitive family, that I've always kind of equated with, that is something I've always equated with, like, if I let people know my needs, they're going to think, again, that I am too much to be handled, and they'll reject me for it. Whether that's true or not, I've worried about that, because, again, growing up with not a lot of friends, so I've not really wanted to have needs and express my needs, and on top of that, because sometimes also in the process of that, like, I can overly think about one person a lot, don't want to talk about that, because that seems gay, and gay means rejection, and I don't want that. So I have, for the longest time, up until my 30s, kind of tried to figure out ways to deal with my needs without actually bringing other people into it, for fear, that, you know, this, one, that maybe I'm actually gay, or two, that they would think, oh, no, stay far away from me. And what I'm realizing as I've been honest in that area and talking with the friends that I feel that towards, I'm realizing, okay, no, that's not a gay thing. That is a human thing, and that's also possibly a Brandon Brown and Brown family thing. Oh gosh. And once again, by choosing to be honest in this area, it is caused for my friendships that I've had with people to grow deeper, and for me to be more comfortable with who I am. And honestly, ironically, to walk farther away from homosexuality or the desires for it, as I learn to accept who I am and accept the parts of me that I've otherwise been too afraid to face. So I've been learning now, I'm in a phase of being honest with myself, and not Benjamin Brown. That is not my middle name. I've been learning that in doing so, it is helping me grow, which again, any growth on my part makes me a better person for other people. Allows my friendships to be deeper, allows me to become more comfortable who I am, which means less anxiety, which is something I've dealt with all of my life. And allows me to be more bold, which is a good thing, especially if you're trying to move up in any sort of company. You know, boldness and confidence is rewarded in business. And moving up the ladder means more money, which means I can accomplish more and be more generous. Why do you keep hitting me? John, I asked you to stop. If you hit me again, I will not just hit you with this sword, I will put you in a hole. And I will put you into some bow that will prevent you from being able to do anything. I will do it. Trust me. There is adventure mode, and I will put you in it, so help me God. In a bedrock casing where you cannot get out of. Yes, exactly. The forever box. Yes. There is a time to be hitting me when I'm not trying to be focused on talking about important things. This is not the time to be hitting me. In the void in a prison. Exactly. Oh, gosh. Because I get distracted and I lose my whole train of thought. And as I'm trying to, like, unpack this whole thing, I just have to start again, figure out where the heck I am. No, it's not a threat, John. It's a promise. It is a promise. And I will act on that promise. You'll just all of a sudden turn around and you'll see me developing a bedrock prison. And then I will teleport you into it. Thank you. I forgive you. So anyways, I've been learning that as I be honest with myself, I realize there's a lot of things in my life that I'm scared of that I don't have to be scared of. And I'm able to grow, and I'm able to move past stuff and become more confident, and to have greater self-esteem, which has been very helpful. 10 times more sus than usual. Oh well. I could not talk about it, and then it'd be a big surprise to everyone, or you could know exactly where I am, and you know where and you know what I'm going through, so it's no surprising. For what it's worth, I don't, again, think that homosexuality is a good thing, and I have spent a large portion of my life working through that. Sus raid. So, and the reason why I laughingly say it's not true when someone says I was once gay is because while I have struggled with same-sex attraction and porn, I have not actually been romantic with any guy whatsoever, or had relations with any one of them. I just haven't. So, those are bridges I'm not going to cross and have not crossed. And to my understanding of the Word of God, when it talks about it being a sin, it's not necessarily the same-sex attraction, it's the actual literal act being romantic and or sexual with someone of the same sex. Let's start from the beginning. About 27 trillion years ago. John, I swear. I am watching you. I've got a bedrock prison with your name on it. But honest and truly, I joke, I laugh, but I am serious about it. So, I do not have obsidian. There is... I feel like I saw obsidian somewhere in the cave, possibly. But yeah, Jeremy probably has a good deal of it. Jeremy gets a lot of stuff. He's like one SCP. You have to keep watching him or he'll probably... You talking about Peanut? or the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who? Those are fun. God, that scared me so much when I watched it the first time with the Weeping Angels. Ooh. Anyways, so... Being honest is important. It probably is. Being honest is important. And I think the pain of being honest that you will feel is not as bad as the pain that you will experience for dishonesty. And I've been discovering it time and time again. So, bringing it all back to this recent experience that I've had at my job, losing the company $600 to a person who was, being actually sus. I ended up making that mistake like I was talking about, where I let the woman walk out with $600 worth of product without paying for it, because of an error that I had made. I didn't actually say, yeah, here's the goods, run with it. I didn't do that, but I hit the wrong button, and it resulted in her walking out with that stuff. I had the ability in that time to be dishonest with the company, because, again, people can get fired over that stuff. Yes, $600. People can get fired over that stuff. Like, it's not good. And at the very least, it can be highly embarrassing, and they will have some sort of, talk to the rest of the company about making you an example of what not to do, which is humiliating. But I was honest. I was honest with the manager that was helping me through the process, and I was honest with my boss, and it did result, yes, with my boss being angry with me, because on top of that, I've been going back and forth with my boss trying to figure out, what I should and should not talk to, when I should and should not talk to her, because, sometimes I overcall her when she needs to rest, and it's her day off, and I shouldn't do that. So I've been trying to figure out the balance with that. And at the moment, I thought, oh, it's a smart idea not to let her know. Wrong. I didn't let her know, not because I was hiding from her, but because I figured we'll talk about it when she gets back from her vacation that she was on at the time. And I know now that was wrong, and I apologized for it, and I owned it. But I was honest with her, and... Or, no, it was $600. Are you asking, Warrior? So... I was honest with her about it. I was honest with the company about it. Immediately, I took the advice of the other manager that I was working with to let LP know. I took it up to the higher levels. And of course, they sent an email. They're like, this is not good. You should never have done this. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. But they were understanding. They were like, we understand that you're under a stressful situation. We have compassion for the situation. And I should have been written up for it, but I was not written up for it because I was very expedient in being honest about it. And though my boss was angry and she did yell at me a little bit, we got to talking about it. We got to figuring out what the root cause of it. She had mentioned that I have a hard time saying no to people. And we came to the understanding that I need to be more concerned with losing money than I do how my tone is to the customer. I'm allowed now to be more aggressive with the customer than I've been allowed before, which is so good. Very happy for that. And through being honest with her and like explaining like, here's where I'm at, here's what I'm going through, you know, and not really making excuses for my mistakes either, I was able to save myself from being fired. I was able to save myself from being written up, and I was able to get to better communication with my boss over it. And it helped me out a lot when I could have been quiet about it, and it could have resulted in me being fired because I was hiding it. And honestly, not just thinking about myself, I have watched a lot of people get into a lot of deep problems, not because they made a mistake, but because they lied about it. I've had a friend once, I'm not going to name, who, like, I'm a pretty forgiving, woo! That's not, dang it, I just punched water. But fortunately it's that way and not on my computer, so that's good. I'm a pretty forgiving and merciful person. I try to be, at least. And I had a friend who did things he shouldn't have done. And when I ended up finding out about him, I realized it wasn't the thing. I didn't break anything. I just ended up dropping my water off the side onto the wall and onto part of my desk. But anyways, when I discovered the thing that he was doing that he shouldn't have been doing, it didn't bother me, and I was able to like recognize the point is you making a mistake was not the problem. It was just him hiding the situation, hoping that I wouldn't figure it out that was the problem. Like, it was the lying, it was the hiding that made it all that much worse. No, I'm gonna have to clean it up. I just want to finish the thought. Because it's just water. It's nothing like, oh no, I spilt, you know, a sugary beverage on the wall or something. Soda or something. It was nothing like dox him right now. Who was it? I'm not telling you who it was. But they're just being dishonest and secretive. Him and another person. And we're talking people that were close to me. We're not talking about, like, people that were like, oh yeah, like, distal, like, I don't really need to know what's going on in their lives. Like, you know, it's close to me, and they were being dishonest about it. And I realized in the moment, I'm upset, not because they, you know, they did something wrong, because we all make mistakes. We all do things that we're not proud of. It was the fact that they didn't talk about it. It was, you know, wasn't brought into the light. And I've witnessed people in my life multiple times, the things that they're doing, I mean, it's not great, but, like, there's so much forgiveness that was involved if they had just said, oops, I made a mistake. I had a person not too long in my life that I've occasionally talked about that was a part of my previous server, and in UGN, and they went about, like, pretty arrogantly, you know, trying to, I know you're right behind me, trying to, steal people away from the server into their own subgroup, and then talk, like, disrespectfully to people, be mean-spirited, all that kind of stuff when they didn't get their way, and just be generally manipulative. And that, in of itself, never bothered me, but then I would keep getting stories about how they weren't telling me the truth. I would learn about it secondhand. Yeah, I would learn about it secondhand, And at that point, there's nothing I can do about it except, like, sorry, there's consequences for those actions. I can't just let you go with it, because if every time I would catch them, they would apologize, and then they would go back to doing the same thing behind my back again. And it's just like, it's not the fact that you're being disrespectful to people that's the problem to me. It's not the fact that you were trying to build this secondary group behind the scenes that necessarily is the problem to me. It's the fact that you're doing this, not telling me. And then when I bring it up, you apologize, and then go back to doing it again. It's just like, this dishonesty creates... It destroys love. It destroys peace. It destroys... Effectively, it destroys heaven, if heaven were to exist on Earth. And I've learned time and time again, like, it's not the thing that you do wrong that is, like, everyone makes mistakes. There is always forgiveness for honesty. But it's when you hide it and you lie about it that it becomes an instant problem. Because what happens, what I've learned and what I've witnessed, is people then no longer know, who are you? What are your needs? How can we help you? How can we be there for you? How can we whatever? Like, we have to look behind our backs and think, well, this person, lied this time. Are they going to lie again? Oh, they lied again? Are they capable of telling the truth? I don't know. And what ends up happening is you end up pushing people away from you. The very thing, if you lie because you want to feel secure, you create insecurity in the process. It's like you end up creating the environment where you surround yourself with untrustworthy people, because that's about the only people that's going to be able to be around you if you're not being honest. If your goal is to have there and you're stealing and lying about it, it's creating the opposite effect. It's like there are a lot of generous people out there that are willing to give you what you want if you ask. Not to say that you always get what you want if you ask, but if you ask and you're kind about it, people are generally willing to be generous about it. Yeah, sounds exactly like you, Jeremy. So, time and time again, I've watched it in my life and other people's life. Give you a PC. We're getting there. There is more... The pain that I've watched people go through for telling the truth is far less in the long term than the pain that they experience in the long term for having a life of lying. Because the more you lie, the harder it is to keep up with your lies. And the harder it is to have true, loving, stable relationships. And the harder it is to know about yourself. And to know God, for that matter, too. So it's just, I don't know. Don't make the mistakes that I've made in taking your time and not being honest with what you've been through, because I promise you, the right people are going to be able to see the honesty that you have, and they're going to love you for it, and they're going to help you through it, and it's going to be better on the other side of it than it is being deceptive. And that's what I've learned, and so now I will step off my soapbox. And now read what you were saying like I was talking about. And I'm going to be a man of my word to that one. So you asked me to read what you were saying, Gaming War. You said, ever since I was a child, I was like the quiet kid in the room. So most of my fellow classmates ignored me. And the most people that talk with me were the teachers, not normal talks, but for getting scolded. But then I started to just talk with the children forcibly, and I managed to find good friends forcibly. What does that mean? Now, looking back, I think I'm lucky to just be watching and learning. Thanks to that, I actually got the ability to never give up and to listen before talking and hearing the other, out the person talking. Well, that's good. That's good. I'll just refrain from commenting for seconds so you can find it easily. Okay. Don't stop talking, it would make me feel lonely in chat. Oh no. Have you ever considered installing a mod to make armor cover less of your body so that everyone could see? Pfft, what? Just recently, I saw Grain doing this on a newer server and it looked pretty good. For armor covering less of your body so you see more of your skin. That's interesting. Reason I'm talking about, I don't remember that. Catching up with all the things I said. Some of it I was able to see, some of it I wasn't able to. Staring at you, but look away and you're doomed. Yeah. Don't have that here. If you do that here, your family business. You're getting your butt. Oh gosh. Quite literally. You walk in the store and Brandon just yells, "What do you want?" Yeah, no, I don't do that. But I do just ask, how can I help you? I ask, what do I say? I say, welcome to New Balance. How can I help you today? What have you come in for? And they'll often say, just looking. I'm like, okay. Bad thing, if he does that, you'll definitely be getting the belt. Oh boy. Simpler words bring the Cold War on the smallest level. All I can think of right now is the story about Brandon and the narcissist that brought him into this group on the roleplay server, and how basically it's Obi-Wan and Anakin. Anakin Star... that's where that came from. Glad we had this talk. Okay, yeah. So I'm caught up in most stuff. Possible. I know what they're talking about. That would be cool if it had possible. Brandon, does this have the Trails update? No, this is essentially 1.19. Cool. Okay, now I am caught up in all things that are being said. Cool. Alex, when you get the chance, check out the Redeemed Zoomer on the great YouTube channel. I feel like I have heard of that, Alex. I've seen that pass my YouTube feed a couple times. I've not actually stopped to look at it. What is happening? Oh, it's the windmill. I'm like, why is that glitching out so bad? I've already mentioned it. I don't want to mention it outright directly, but it is there. Force meaning joining the conversation without getting invited. Okay. I see. Self-promotion. My ray trace... Yes. It is... It does not... The ray tracing does not like this windmill. The rotating part of it is freaking out. I don't know if self-promote... Well, self-promotion, it depends. Like, suggesting a channel to me directly, I don't really care as much. Like, posting a bunch of links to something, I care a little bit more about that. Like, that's more irritating for that to be done. But, like... Or just coming in and, like, completely ignoring the topic and just, like, you should watch this, and it just completely goes against the flow. That's a little bit problematic for me, but the way of which Alex has approached this, I'm like, you know, suggesting to me this person, I don't mind that as much. So it's circumstantial, but the way that they went about it does not bother me. So, yeah. So, honesty. It's honestly important. And I really do think, again, I cannot overstate this, that the pains of being honest is less than the pains of being dishonest. You may not feel the pains of being dishonest right away. You might be able to get away with more, but it will eat away at your soul more than being honest will. Like, yes, being honest can get you hurt, and it can get you rejected, and it definitely has caused those things to me. I've definitely had things misinterpreted because of the way that I presented things, and I've had to work through stuff and re-explain things, and, work on salvaging jokes on you. I don't have a soul. I don't believe that one bit. Yes, it's a good policy, but depends on the people. Yes, and to be fair, also, I am honest like this as I am to you guys because a part of Thought Raid's whole purpose is for me to rip open my chest and to like say, here's my brokenness, here's where I'm wrong and messed up on stuff. That's not to say that this is the template of what you should do with your life exactly as I do it everywhere you go. Because there is, I do agree, a time and place for being honest about stuff. Here in a place where I'm kind of like, I don't even exist, wow. Here in a place like this where the whole focus is what I'm doing, that's one thing. But like, it's okay also to be honest at the right time with the right people. Because there may be a time and place for it that's better suited than others. Like, in a very dramatic case, like, you're trying to protect someone's life from persecution. Saying, here they are, if you're hiding them, may not be the best option there. That probably isn't a good thing. But there are ways that you can be, there are ways that you can hold on to information until the right time without lying. Being asked, where's the person? Not responding. Plead the fifth, not gonna respond to that. Or maybe like at a time we want to be honest, but the person is extremely stressed. Could wait until they've calmed down a little bit. It'd be helpful. Some people can handle the stress and they can talk about stuff in the moment, in the middle of their stress. Other people can't. But as long as there's a time and space where you are honest about stuff, that's what's most important. So I'm not sharing all this to say that you need to be honest right now about everything you're going through or else. No, but I am saying that with the right people, finding people that you can trust at the right time. Hello. It's good to be honest because it helps you with your conscience. It helps remove cognitive dissonance, which is something that can really bother your brain. And it helps with growing deeper with people that you want in your life. And it helps, again, separate those who are trustworthy from those who are not trustworthy. If I'm not honest, where are you going with this? And thinking about it, like, I'm a global-minded person, too. So, more on the importance of honesty as well. Like, think about something that we don't like to think about very often, because it's frustrating. People get way too heated over it and everything. Politicians, businesses. Imagine the healing and growth that would happen if your local company or international company, your politician were to decide to be honest with what they're going through. Like, no one talks enough about the trauma that is created when you discover that you cannot trust your government, that you cannot trust this company that has been selling you your bread for all this time, or the television that you see. Like, it's a real thing that we encounter on a day-to-day basis, and it's traumatic in ways that's not really easily discussable because it's hard to even recognize it. When you can't even trust your own government to make right decisions or to be honest about what they're doing. When they take words like bribery and they reword it into lobbying, or when somebody says, "Oh yes, this is the way this thing is," and then it's not the way those things are. Like, that's not great. dishonesty produces more dishonesty, and a society cannot survive on the back of a dishonest government, people, whatever. Like, it's subject to eventually fall. That's why I get my fresh bread from the bakery. But, like, just think about that. Like, we encounter dishonesty everywhere we go. There's no such thing as a white lie. There's no such thing as this is not that big of a deal because it only affects, the rich or whatever. Like, that's not... Honesty is very important for the society to thrive as it needs to. For people to thrive, it only holds people back. I'm not getting political. I just wanted to bring that up as a touch point example of something that we're all very familiar with, or most likely familiar with, or to become familiar with time. But imagine, if you will, as hard as it may be, imagine how life would look if you could trust your government. If you could trust a corporation not to do things that would be atrocious for the environment or their employees or for people, that their labor that's bringing the product they need to sell. Like, imagine if you could trust these people, the healing that would come from that, to know, oh yes, they are exactly what they say they are. And if you can imagine that, then you can understand the need for honesty. It's in Area 41. Right. There are some things that don't need to be known by everyone in general. But there are people that need to know. There are people in your life that do need to know certain things. It's one thing to hold information for trustworthy people, and it's another thing to just lie. So there is a difference between that. Not everyone needs to know every single detail about your life. As I've been working through what I've been learning about myself, about my sensitivity, about my neediness and all that kind of stuff, and working through that, I've not told you exactly what I'm dealing with the minute I'm dealing with it. I've worked through it first, and then as I've worked through it, and then I bring it to you as I become comfortable in these areas. I'm bringing you to areas that are vulnerable, but there are areas that I am willing to be shot at by other people, because unfortunately I do feel like there'll be a day where someone will look and they'll see my life and they'll see all the things I've very openly talked about on thoughtraid, and very likely they'll probably try to exploit that, because it has happened outside of thoughtraid. And unfortunately, there are people that do that. And that is one of the risks I know is a part of what I do with thoughtraid. But you're correct in that, Jeremy. Not everyone needs to know everything. But yeah, I've definitely had people take my honesty, and they have definitely used it against me. So you have to tailor it to the right people at the right time. That is true. There is definitely wisdom in that. But make sure you have people that you are being honest to. And about areas where you make mistakes, though, specifically, to those that you have hurt in those mistakes, provided that they are not... Because I know there is some limitations there. Because, like, if I were to be honest with everything that I've had to deal with the people that have been manipulative with me, it would just result in more manipulation. So there is situations where you would have to use caution there. But in general, you know, with the average person, if you've done wrong, it is better to be truthful with them than it is to lie. And it just weighs better on your conscience that way. So yeah, what are your thoughts on all that? Because I'm curious, and in my old curiosity, I also need to grab... Oh, it's already starting to dry. I'll be fine. It's just water. What are your thoughts on this matter? Like, when it comes to being honest about stuff? Do you have any disagreements with what I have to say? Do you have stories you want to share to supplement what I've said, to like add to it? I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on the matter, and I am listening. Let's see. Where do I want to lead this? I want to lead it this way, I believe. And we'll build it up this way. I need more dirt. Yeah. I'm not really planning on that happening. Honestly, I do not care if anyone famous or not. Like, I don't care if any... Well, let me put it this way. I do not care if anyone famous comes to find this channel or not. It's an interesting song. I don't know how I think about it. It feels like I'm going on some kind of strange... older video game like quest or something. Well, if you guys do not have anything more to say to that, then once I finish bringing this road over, I will definitely love to see that. Then I will end the stream. Do you want me... So you actually want me to talk about what the situation was? Like go over it specifically? And yes, I'll come and visit and see what you've made that you consider to be beautiful. I look forward to it. Well, I mean, like, I don't... Because it's a situation that we're kind of, like, presently working through and stuff, I don't want to necessarily do that unless you want me to. Because as, you know, as you... Like, it's up to you. Like, you want me to talk about it and you feel comfortable with that? Okay, sounds good. Then I will. But otherwise, this is like a new thing that I'm kind of, like, working through. Hello, Noah. I'll have to... There'll be so many bases that I'm going to have to see. So many invitations. Goodness. Yeah. I am still... Hello, Lauren. I am still trying to figure out Kenneth the... I know because of my own levels and depths of honesty where I'm at right now, it would be very easy for me to just kind of like air out things that should otherwise remain like private for a time. So like I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like, and I don't know yet. So that's why I don't want to just like immediately jump into that, because we're still in the process of dealing with it and everything. Other than it was what inspired the situation. So that's all. Like, I have in the past, like, brought up things that I thought was, like, a public affair that was not, and I have hurt people in that way, and I do not want to do that if I can help it. So, that's all. I was just reporting blatantly inappropriate YouTube channel with over 19 million channel views that somehow wasn't banned. What are you even referring? You would? Oh, you report? Oh, I see. Zap out there being the YouTube police. Let me get rid of the remaining amount of this dirt. And then I'll come right over there to you, Jeremy, and see what you've been working on. The world wants to know, what on earth has Jeremy been working on? Yes, that shall be done. Also, how are you doing, Laura? You've been quieter today. I'm just curious. And how is your spring break going? Back when YouTube Shorts was taken over with the spam posters, I swear to God, I got over 100 banned. Wow. One of my proudest achievements. Huh. We got Zap out here doing the Lord's work. Making sure YouTube stays free of spammers. What do we got going on over here, Jeremy? What am I looking at here? What is this? Is this... Show me the beauty. Give me the tour. Oh yeah, sure. People doing things they shouldn't do is a never-ending thing. Banned quest for goodwill. Look at first. Take a look. Take a gander at this. Look at this. Look at this pavement here. This is beautiful. Look at this. I like this a lot. I never thought to do anything like this. We got stuff here. The sheer amount of them is the reason why I don't use YouTube Shorts.
I forgot I was muted.
Oh God, you scared me! Because you came in with the same like volume as a sneeze. I was just like, oh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
I just wanted to show you the front of this. This is about all of that I've finished. The inside is work in progress.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if this looks good with RTX on or not.
It does.
You've got the stuff.
What are my thoughts on furries? Are you asking me my thoughts on it in general, or about people, or what? Like, I need to know where you're asking this question. Also, I'm here for the tour.
Yeah. So, these are the stairs that you came up in. They are made out of black stone.
Nice.
Almost entirely. Actually, entirely. Besides Shroom Light. Shroom Light's just there for, like, nighttime stuff. It honestly looks better at night, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
And it's almost nighttime, I think.
Yes.
So you might be able to see it if we're here long enough. This is all I've done in, like, hours. Not gonna lie. I've kind of made the shape of my house. I haven't really done much on the inside.
Okay.
But I wanted to like create a little garden for people to look at before walking inside. I've never done this, so this is like my first time ever making a garden.
Not bad.
Or ever trying to be aesthetically pleasing.
Not
Most
bad.
of my stuff is just like very blocky. This is inside. You can come on in. I also wanted to show off my richness by having opal blocks up here. And some gold blocks just to accent them.
My richness by showing off these opal blocks.
I plan on creating a throne room kind of thing. Just for like me to sit in but also again to show off my richness. So it's gonna be like lined with some. Oh my gosh, what was that?
Lag?
It's gonna be yeah, that was weird. It's gonna be lined with like opal on the ground, and then surrounded by emerald, diamond, and maybe netherite if I get that far. But that's kind of what I'm doing.
Okay.
It's gonna look almost castle-like. Why is this not eating the carrot? There we. It's not eating my carrot.
The server is stuttering. Like, I don't know why it's stuttering, but it's stuttering.
Are we being DDoSed?
Because you were, I hope not. You're kind of moving around like boop 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 boop. But now it seems to have stabilized.
Yeah, this is so far what I have as a staircase. I'm probably gonna change that. I'm trying to do the general structure, and then I'll do the detailing once I've got more of a vision. But I do think I want this to be like more open up until this wall, pretty much. Okay. And then maybe have like a ceiling with like what are those lights called? Sky. So
chandeliers.
Those kinds of no. Well, maybe a chandelier, but also the glass things.
Glass
what are
things.
they called? Let me see. I think I can add a block. No, it's not there.
Trying to think of the. I can't think of what something a glass thing would be. Skylights, people are asking. But that I think that
skylights. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, like, you see the Blackstone attic roof. Like, if you check that in there, it's got like glass, so you can let light in. Kind of do that sort of thing.
Zap said, "Make sure you flex to the max with a small spire of diamond blocks at the top of the roof."
I might do that. I mean, I do plan on adding a tower of sorts. I want it to be like a bit spiky, but also have like a balcony above this bay window. So I've got this bay window over here. I put it there because Hannah likes bay windows, and I do plan on living with my wife. So
yes,
I've got multiple entrances. Just this one on the side is mainly so I can get up to the tower and move everything in here. Okay. I'll probably have storage in the underground, so I don't have to have it up in the buildings. But we'll see. It might be in like an attic or something. Okay. Or I might actually make like a barn back here, so that way I can get out to it.
He's married. Boo him. Wow.
Go ahead. I don't care. I'm still married. Y'all aren't.
No offense, Kenneth. Wow. Wow. What a simp. Jeez.
No offense to Brandon, though. I know he wants a lady in his life. But the rest of y'all, suck it.
Oh, God.
I'm not a simp, by the way.
No offense either.
I'm glad you checked it out. Doesn't it look a little better at night?
It does.
From a distance.
I mean,
I think I just like the lights.
Not to say that it looked bad in the daytime, though. Like, really.
Oh, yeah, no. I know it doesn't look bad during the day. I think I just like the feel of it at night. Because it's actually lit up. And I put the little spore blossom just to add a little something extra.
It is lit, nice. Fam.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
This was originally going to be, like, inside the house. But then I was like, that's dumb. Let's just make, like, a thing out here.
And a woman of all people at least marry Jesus.
Oh yeah, I married him first. And then he was like, take this one instead. I gotta go.
Wow.
But I was like, hey, she hot, so it's fine. I got your hotness, Jesus. I'll take this hotness too.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's kind of the story of how my wife and I fell in love.
Oh,
bam.
Gosh. Oh man. But no, to answer your question, You thought I forgot, but indeed I did not. John, my thoughts. You want my general thoughts? Jesus left for the milk. My general thoughts on. Hold on. I keep getting attacked. Leave me alone. Go away. There we go. Okay. My general thought on furries. How I feel about them. I mean, like, I don't care about furries, like, you know, like a good or bad thing per se. I think it's one of those things where it can get out of hand. Like, if you get to a place where, like, you identify as a furry, that's a problem. Because, like, identifying as anything that you are not is a problem. Because it's not being honest with yourself. Like, it's like, oh, I feel this way, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. Like, that's not accurate. So, yeah, that can get out of hand, but, like, appreciating anthropomorphic animals is not a bad thing. Like, I think there's some really good furry art that exists out there, but I'm not interested...
I appreciate anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah, like, you know, I appreciate things like... What do we have? We've got, like...
Lucario.
Zootopia, or, like, you know... other things out there. Yeah, like Lucario. Oh, freaking all of Pokemon is practically that. You know? You know, it's just... It is what it is, but it's if it gets to a place where you start identifying with it, then it becomes problematic at that point. Execute Order 66. I identify as an attack helicopter. My pronouns are affirmative and forward. So, I don't know. I don't see any reason why one person should either A, be rejected over it, or B, be like, you know, oh, you know, this is a bad thing. It can be, but it doesn't necessarily automatically be it. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts. Do with it what you will. I'm just waiting for someone to, like, incorrectly clip that as well, and, you know, somehow find a way to clip it that's saying that, you know, I am that.
Brandon, the furry.
Yeah, exactly.
Furry Lord Brandon Brown.
Yeah. That's what happens when you get too much freedom. Got it. Is that sending Reckon? I don't know what that is. Okay, that's what I was going to do. I needed to finish this. So, if you guys do not have any other further questions or things you want to talk about related to that, then once I finish this, I will check out for the night. We'll end the stream here. As I have covered all that I know to cover about said topic for tonight. And I've got nothing else in the tank. Uh-oh. My headset
I'll
went
just
off randomly.
say, if you
That's
want to
weird.
be trusted, be honest.
That is true. That is true. Like, it is so much easier to recover from, like, you know, making a mistake but then being honest about it than making a mistake and being dishonest about it.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, Zap! Wow.
What'd he say?
He said if I repeat what he says, then he'll have a full quote of me saying it. That's the problem.
Wait, I'll read it then. Oh, well, yeah, I will not make you say that.
Haha, I'm in danger. And I will send it in Discord so I can send it wherever I go. Wow.
I'm so bad at this. Wow. Building is hard, Brandon. How do you do this?
It's trial and error. A whole lot of, like, doing it and then, like, I don't like this, and then breaking it back down and then building it back up again.
Well, I'll just say I've got the error part down.
Got that down pat.
Yeah, it's the trial part. I don't even know how to start it. We'll figure it out.
Yep. That'd be very sad and unfortunate. A bunch of people are like, what on earth is wrong with this man? And they won't even know a thing about me because they'll just spread lies.
Mm-hmm.
Things I never said. Speaking of speaking of a stream about honesty, as an MP3 file, it's gonna be fun. Yeah. Yes, John. Can you do a stream about forgiveness? Yes! Yes, I can. I would be happy to do a stream about forgiveness. I've done it a couple times, but I wouldn't mind doing it again. Always something new to learn about it.
It's tough.
It's tough, but it's good.
It's built for tough.
It's built for the tough.
Ford tough.
Why is there a sudden hole? What is this? Do a stream about me!
You know what? I have an idea. It sounds stupid, but
It just might work.
Yep. What if I just filled in everything and just hollowed it out later? Bam. Easy work.
Seems like a lot of work, actually, gotta be honest, Chief.
I work better with negative. No. I'm not gonna say negative feedback or anything like that. I was gonna say like negative space than I do with like open space. Is what I've realized when it comes to like art and stuff.
All I'm visualizing in my head is that you're taking your house and filling it entirely with stone and then carving the stone back out.
Heck yeah, dude.
Oh, sorry, I was visualizing that correctly.
You might be. It depends on if I choose to do that or not. It sounds crazy, but it
just might work.
Yeah, exactly. It might just work. And then I can go and replace blocks with the correct blocks if I want to. I could fill this all with dirt. What the heck am I doing? I have tons of dirt. I'm wasting blackstone for nothing.
Rip.
It's fine. It actually helps me to see it come together a little more.
So, this is the last call to you guys. Is there anything related to this topic? Or do you want me to talk about some more questions, disagreements, whatever? This is your last call for me to continue the stream a little bit further. Otherwise, if you have nothing, then this stream is ending very shortly. Someone say something.
How does one not lie?
How does one not lie?
Yep. If you've got the habit of it, how would you try and stop it?
Oh, that's actually that's a more difficult question than you think.
Oh no, I know it's a difficult one. That's why I asked it. I don't even know the answer, and I came up with the question.
I think it's a complex answer. I can't give like one very concise answer because there's a lot of moving parts to it. It depends on the person. But let me give you the moving parts that I can see. One is being honest with God. Like, being honest with God, I feel like, is one of the more lower risk things you could do because you can't see him. And you can't technically hear him outside your head. And so, or at least most people can't. Some people can, but most people can't. And so, and as a Christian, especially knowing that he is love, it's a lot easier. Maybe it's not as easy for some people, but for me, it was very easy. I started off with it because it's like, what is he going to do? Like, you know, he's not going to, like, I know he might reveal it to someone that I was lying, but, like, I know that he cares about me, and, like, you know, I was easier to kind of reveal things to him first.
Yep.
That doesn't exist, yeah. No, he does exist, and I know his voice, separate from my own. But, being honest with God, like, talking to God about that, I think also, a way of being honest is being, like, building yourself up to take a risk and just kind of come with the expectation there might be pain. Like, if you know that you're going to do something and you know it's going to hurt, it's easier to do it than if you don't know if it's going to hurt or not. Like, if you go with the expectation that I'm going to say something honest and it's probably going to hurt, that'll help you endure the pain that will come, because it may be as exactly as you think or maybe less. So, being honest with yourself that it might be something that's going to hurt when you do it, I think helps. If there are people in your life that you know you can trust, giving a try, like a trial run, and being honest with them is good. Like, having other people around you to talk to about stuff that you feel like you can trust, that's a good place to start too. Because if you have a support structure that you know is there for you and they're going to support you in being honest, rather than trying to just be honest on your own. I saw you, John. I'm getting to you. I think that also helps with being honest. Allowing yourself to fail, I think, is an important process of being honest. Because failure produces humility, and humility produces truthfulness. So again, I think it sits with being okay with pain and allowing yourself to feel pain, and knowing the pain's gonna come. I think that is. So yeah, being comfortable with allowing yourself to know that it's probably going to be painful when you start being honest, when you've been dishonest the whole time, and that's okay. I think that's an important part of starting to be honest. And you're saying, warrior, yes, and don't forget to be friendly with yourself, and don't start friendly fire on your own.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like one of the first steps to being honest is to start being honest with yourself.
Yeah. And I was thinking that, too. I was thinking about being honest with yourself. So, yeah, I think that's a part of it, too. But for some reason in my head, there was, like, a further down the line step. I guess I was just thinking, like, what degree of pathological lying are we talking about? Are we talking about pathological lying, or are we talking about small things? I don't know. It just depends on the situation.
Literally any amount of lying, I think, because I've had that problem where, like, I realized that I've struggled with lying, and it was to protect myself, but that just creates problems. Lying to protect yourself is what starts the issues.
Zap says, would believing in God, but not necessarily worshiping Him, still make you a Christian? I think I definitely know the answer, but I just want to delay the stream's end. Would believing in God, but not necessarily worshiping Him, so make you a Christian? I
don't think so.
I can't necessarily disagree with that entirely. I think if you believe in God, it's not necessarily believing in God per se that makes you a Christian, though. I'll put it out there.
Yeah, that's
believing alone.
Saying.
Yeah, so. Believing alone, because even demons believe that there is a God, and that doesn't really mean that they're saved from hell. It's not just believing in God. It's like worship, but at the same time, worship is a byproduct of truly believing in God. Like, when you believe in God truly and you're actually pursuing Him and trying to get to know Him, you will eventually come to worship Him, not as a threat, but more specifically as you begin to discover that He is worthy of worship and praise. And you'll encounter His goodness and His love and His compassion and His justice. And in doing so, you will naturally want to worship him, much like you would want to worship, in a sense, not necessarily worship, but like praise someone that you love and you respect and honor. Because worship is not necessarily, it's not necessarily like I'm singing a song. There's a lot of different ways worship can manifest itself, depending on the person. So,
and it's not all about just getting on your knees or like raising your hands.
Right.
There's ways you can worship God without doing any of those things.
But in answering your question, though, if you are honestly seeking God, and you're not just, again, here on this whole thing about honesty, if you are honest about seeking God truly, and you're not just saying that because your parents told you to do it, or I told you to do that, or whatever, but you actually are genuinely curious, that is more of a Christian. Like, to wrestle with God, to search after him. That's what to truly believe in him and his existence and earnestly seek after him. And also recognizing your own depravity, your own moral failures, your own shortcomings, and knowing that you need someone to rescue from it. Those are the components of being a Christian. Curious, yeah. I think, though, that to truly step into what would truly look like a Christian, though, there does come a point where you have to come face to face with your own shortcomings and recognize you are not enough by yourself. You need a God there to rescue you. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is pride and thinking that you've got everything together. Yes, self-worship. You are your own God. And we are just pitiful gods. Yeah,
I do not want to be my own God.
Read the Bible entirely forwards and backwards. That's not necessarily makes a Christian either. There are some very Christian-like people that they've read the entire Bible. They give to the poor. They heal the sick. They go off and they rescue people from stuff. They're good on the surface, but they are prideful and they do what they do to be seen, and that makes them no more a Christian. That doesn't make them a Christian. God will still say to them, "Depart from me, for I never knew you." Honest and truly. Heaven is about relationship. And heaven, the biggest relationship in heaven is that with God. You go to heaven, you're not getting away from God. You go somewhere, there's God. You go to sleep, God. You wake up, God. You're hearing something, God. You go to it's God. And God is very relational. And so, there's no, I have to use language. There's no bullshitting this. You either are truly, honestly seeking after him, or you're pissing around. It's just, it's not about perfection. It's not about what you're doing. It's like, oh, well, I go to church on Sunday. I read the Bible. Whatever. It's that's not a relationship. That's like saying, oh, I don't know, I did this thing for this person that was near you. Are we friends now? No. Who are you? I don't know who you are. It's about relationship with God, and it's not complicated. It's complex. It's not complicated. It's are you gonna be friends with him, or is he just somebody that you bring along for the ride, but he's not actually he's not actually your friend. It's different. And I think that's something that not all Christians can really grasp. Like, it's about relationship. Like, you could go off and you could be the richest, bravest, whatever person in the world, but if you don't take a time to say, God, who are you? You know, who am I in you? What does our relationship look like? Like, it's, if you can't say I have a relationship with God, or you're actively seeking him, like, that's not Christianity. So I don't know, I want to put it out there. And your question, where would a person who is an atheist go since he's dead? Well, he would go, if there's a person that lived their entire life refusing to believe that there is a God, what's nothing, like, you can't, I don't really believe that there's any such thing as an atheist. Like, there's, like, because the atheists I've heard are like, I don't believe in God. God can't exist because this. Like, it's just that it's like, there is a place reserved for people that want nothing to do with God. It's hell. It's not because God wants to throw people in hell. It's because it's the place that's designed for people who want nothing to do with him. If you don't want anything to do with God, if you refuse to believe that he exists, and you go about your life as a toxic person, you know, like, inviting other people to believe that God doesn't exist when there's a lot of evidence around, there's a place created for you where you don't have to be around God, where God is as minimally involved as possible, which is still involved because he is in everything. But, like, it's hell. Hell is the perfect place for somebody who doesn't want anything to do with God.
I'd argue that's the one place he's not.
I don't know if it's possible for him to not, because there's a scripture verse that says, even if I make my bed in Sheol, you're there with me. So, to say that God, who is omnipresent, doesn't exist in a certain place would kind of cheapen his omnipresence. I think...
Hey, you got me there.
Yeah. Like, but at the same time, I don't think God wants any more than you would want someone that you... Like, any more than you would want someone that you... Like, you have to understand this about God. God knows you more than your parents know you, more than, if you ever get married, that your spouse will ever know you, more than your friends know you, more than you know yourself. He knows you intimately. He knows the hairs on your head. He knows the thoughts in your head. He knows what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. And he loves you because he is the definition of love. If you have a good parent in your life that loves you a whole lot, how much less would God want to throw you into a place where you can't interact with him anymore because you want nothing to do with him? Like, hell was not created for us. Like, he doesn't want anyone to be in hell any more than a good parent wants their child dead, or, you know, be out of. No, he's not like Santa Claus. Like, he's different from that. Like, Saint Nick was a human being with flaws who punched a person in the face for heresy. Like, I'm not kidding. That, like, he literally did that, like the real Santa Claus. But
is that where that crazy Santa movie comes from?
I'm not quite sure. I've not seen that, so I don't have a thing. And so you're saying you have another question. Breaking news, God, no. Another question: where would a person that believes in both heaven and hell go? It depends on it. It's not about what they believe in. Like, it's not just necessarily about belief. It's where would they go if they want something to do with God or they don't want something to do with God. Because there's a place called heaven that is reserved for those who want to be with God, who are earnestly seeking after him and allowing them into their lives so that he can transform them. That's heaven. And there is a place reserved for people that want nothing to do with God, that want to be selfish, do their own thing. You know, they want to do it their way, be prideful, you know, be toxic. There's a place for them too. Because, I don't know, from what I see, it doesn't seem like people change in the afterlife. They just continue on as they were on Earth. So it's like, I and I could be wrong. I hope that they, through suffering of getting what they wanted, they realize, wow, this is not what I actually want, because hell is a place for it's a place where humanity's and angelics sick, twisted lives of wanting whatever they want, they feel like in the moment, comes through, they can experience. You want that stuff, it's hell. And it so happens to manifest with a lot of bad stuff. Because hell is a place that just gets deeper and deeper. There is no end to selfishness. But regardless if they believe in heaven or hell, it's, do they want to live a life that's honorable? Do they want to live a life where they actually want to know God and let them into their life so that he can know them and change them and love them and transform them? Or they want to do things their own way? It's not a matter of what they believe. It's a matter of what kind of life are they living? And it's not about works either, because it's not because if you get into works, then there are people that are way more holier than I am. It's a matter of, again, going back to honesty. There is a scripture verse. Jesus had a couple parables that he talked about. I want to pull them up because this is important and this fits along with the topic of honesty. So we're already on it. We're already on the right track. We're just expanding into this, and I haven't forgotten you asked a question, John. So I will circle back to you. I need to pull up Bible Gateway. I need to do man who beat his chest in sorrow for his sins. Bible story. I know the general story. I don't remember where it's from. Okay, Luke 18 verse 13. Okay, Luke. Let me do this. Let me pull up this so you can see what I'm looking at here. Luke, Matthew, Mark, Luke. What was it? 18, 13. What did you say?
Skywalker.
Oh, I thought you were saying something that.
Oh no, nothing important.
Okay. So there's a couple of parables that Jesus talked about. Here is one of them. Pharisee and the tax collector. He also told this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and treated others with contempt. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, prayed thus: God, I thank you that I am not like the other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I get. But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even lift up his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other one. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. God's about relationship, and he's about honesty. And it's very crucially important to him that when Jesus was on the earth, he talked about it, and he talked about it to the religious people on the day that would later come to persecute him, and ultimately end up murdering him for things crimes he did not commit. And there was a second scripture verse that I was thinking of that I'm forgetting in this moment, and it's bothering me. But that was the main one. Because you were talking, Gaming Warrior, about, what people believe. And it's just it's so much more. It's about relationship. There was the one, let's see. Many will say to me, Lord, Lord. Yeah, that one. Could you please? Thank you. Matthew 7:21. Matthew 7:21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name? And did we do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Like, God's so serious about this. Like, it's not about what you've done. It's about where's your heart at? Are you being honest with your pursuit of God? Are you taking the time to wrestle with the things that are... Are you taking the time to wrestle with the things that are not politically correct, the things that could get you in trouble that the Bible talks about? Are you wrestling with those things? Are you earnestly seeking to get to know him, or are you doing it because that's what you were told to do? Like, talks about, I would rather, like, you be hot or cold, but since you're lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. Like, God's so serious about honesty. Like, this is, if you get it right in any place, be honest with where you're at. There is so much more reward for being honest with where you're at than there is to lie about it, so that way you don't be punished for it. Like, the punishment isn't there for those, in the same way at the very least, for those who are genuinely making honest mistakes and not lying about it. It's there for those who hide, the cowards who make mistakes and then they try to manipulate their way out of it by not speaking the truth. Like, I'm being direct and I'm being tough right now, but I'm doing that because I love you guys and this is so important to me and you are important to me, and I don't know, I'm feeling like really pulled in this direction. I'm not even seeing what you're saying right now because frickin' Streamlabs won't show it to me. Only YouTube will show it to me, so whatever. But let me pull the screen back over here so I can pull back up chat. So let's see. That's something to ponder. Would you be able to redeem yourself in hell, or would you be stuck there for eternity? If your whole life God is willing to forgive you, would that change when you die? Like, that's something a lot of Christians struggle with, specifically, Zap. Like, a lot of Christians kind of struggle with that very question: is hell eternal? And that's a fair question. That's a question I don't exactly know. I think, yes, it's an eternal thing, but it's my observation that people don't really change after this life. Like, they just kind of continue on more or less themselves throughout that time. And if who they are decidedly is, again, toxic, after all the work that has been done to kind of pull away, and make no mistake, I know God does everything in his power to work with every person that lives on this earth. That no one's going to be able to go before him and said, oops, I didn't know. Like, God knows people's numbers and will reach out to them. And it's not to say that, like, if they never hear about God, then they're just, that's it, they're going to hell. I don't think that's the case either. I think hell is reserved for people that want nothing to do with God. It is a place where they can be away from God as much as they humanly possibly can. So I don't think it's a place where just arbitrarily people get flung into because, oops, whatever, I didn't get worshipped enough or whatever. I don't think God is arbitrary like that at all. But I don't think it's something that is temporary presently in my life, like from what I've seen and understood, because we're also talking about an eternal God, and if God is omnipresent, is outside of time, and knows all things, whether or not you keep moving through a timeline and don't make another mistake, God doesn't just get to walk away from that. Like, he will not forget that. The only way that he forgets things is through the blood of Christ. Something about a sacrifice of someone who's perfect, his own son, is sufficient enough for him to forget our sins, the things that we do wrong. But apart from that, God does not forget. And also, to my understanding of him, he does not get to get away from it. So let's say there's a person that murders another person, and then that person's dead. It's not like God doesn't still exist in that moment of the murder. Like, that murder is now eternally happening for God. Like, it's just, that's a thing that happens for him. So you ask, how could he do something eternal to us? Well, how else is he going to deal, because he is also just, how else is he going to deal with something that is forever now going to affect him that he can't forget? You know, he feels that murder. He feels that pain. He doesn't get away from that pain just because we do. And so, from what I understand about God and everything, like, it's important to look at things from his perspective rather than just our limited mortal lives. So, I don't know. I'm getting really passionate and stirred up right now.
That's good.
Also, hello, Road 9. I have noticed you. I've just been like right now. Ask me some big questions that are having me kicking. I've got to say that there are a few people that I know with such a passion for something like with Brandon Christianity. I'm just learning more about the Bible. Here we go again. I would probably go to church every Sunday if Brandon was a pastor. I would go even if he was there to pray as well. I agree. Hello. Here's my theory is that after Satan is locked up in the lake of fire, I think everyone is free from hell. I don't know about that. I do not know about that, honestly. I have another question. Actually, before I get to your question, Gaming Warrior, I've been saying I haven't missed John's question, and I mean it, and I'm not going to get to your question until I get to his question. Let me see if you already asked the question. I need to find it. So let's say someone asks me something, and I say a lie to make them feel better about themselves because I don't want to be mean. That's not good, John. Like, lying, that's people-pleasing. That's trying to keep people in your life because you're afraid of losing people, as you're telling them what they want to hear so that way they can stay in your lives, but you need to be honest. Like, it's not to say that you just, like, hit them with the truth when they're down bad, per se. Like, you know, you don't want to... There's a time and place for everything. But to say something to them to make them feel better because you don't want to be mean, like, if they're truly doing something that's wrong or bad or whatever, like, you got to be honest with that. You can be gentle with it. You can be kind about it. But you don't want to lie. Like, if you can say something good and that is genuine and it's a good timing, sure. Like, it's good to encourage and lift people up. Like, especially as myself as a person who needs words of affirmation from time to time. But you don't want to lie to people. Don't lie. Like, it's better to say something offensive that's truthful than it is to lie about it to make someone feel good. Because what will happen, John, if you lie and say something positive that you don't really mean, they will think that's normal, either of you or about themselves, when it might not be. And the pain that they will experience on the other end of knowing that you lied is greater than the pain they'll experience of the truth in the moment. Like, I cannot state this enough. The pain of honesty is it's painful up front, but not on the back end. The pain of lying is not as much up front, but a whole hell of worse on the back end. And I've just seen that repeated time and time and time again. Okay, well, obviously, there are ways you can say that. There are ways you can still say the truth, though. Like, it's not, you don't want to you don't have to be like, you don't have to be aggressive about it. But if, you know, like in a situation like a woman, how something looks, you could say, I don't know if that looks good on you. Like, you're beautiful, but this on you is not really complimentary. Like, it's okay to, like, and you'd want a woman in your life that can handle you saying something like that too. Like, or at the very least, that can handle it with time. Like, she might not be able to handle it in the moment. But that's something I kind of test around with when I'm at work too, because I deal with a lot of women working in a shoe store, and they will often ask me, does this look good or whatever, and I'll be like, I have to sit there and be like, It depends. And then there's also the matter of, like, some people like certain things and other people think it's gross. Like, it just depends on the person. But, like, it's okay to speak the truth and that kind of stuff. The worst that can happen is that they get offended and they leave. And that is bad. Or they can get hurt for it, and that is bad. But at least then you won't have to deal with a scarred conscience for knowing that you lied. And that, I think, is worse. Because then, when you begin lying, it becomes easier to lie, and you lose yourself in the process of lying. So, yeah, I wanted to answer that. So you had another question, Gaming Warrior. What if a person is actually a good person, but he's forced to be a bad person? Where would he go? If someone's a good person and they're forced to do bad things, I don't think that necessarily means that they would go to hell. Because again, it's a matter of, like, where's your heart at? Like, if someone were to use my body to do evil things, and, like, I'm protesting against it, I'm doing everything in my power, and I'm still made to do a bad thing, that doesn't make me a bad person. That makes me a hostage. Like, but it depends on your definition of force, too, because, like, if by forced you mean, like, you feel the fear of rejection, that's one thing. And also, at the same time, it also depends on the back end. Like, if you make the mistake and you know you made a mistake and you are remorseful about it and you apologize, that doesn't change you of being a, air quotes, good person. Although I do not necessarily like the terms good person, bad person, because that puts us in as the judge of other people's character. There are good things and bad things, and there are people that do good, are good and healthy and toxic, doing toxic things. So it's just, it's iffy. I'm not saying, like, you can't say this person's good, this person's bad, but that kind of puts us into the judgment seat of their lives, which is, we often don't really know enough about a person to make calls on if they are a good or bad person. But there is, you can, though, say this person's doing good things and this person has a history of doing good things or a history of doing bad things. Zap says, I think he has a warm heart but cold. I mean, but you actually follow that up. He's a warm heart, but he's cold-blooded. I have to look into that more. And Zap, you said, oh, and you got good news. That's cool. Cool. I'm glad you have good news, Road 9. I think a good person at heart in a situation where they're forced to do bad things would be seen as a good in God's eyes. If they managed to be forced to do horrible things, it still stayed good. Yeah, I think I just kind of echoed that to a degree. Well, that's my sophisticated Christian interpretation. So I got good news, Brandon. I was able to get Minecraft working. Good! I'm very excited, Road 9. That's great. I'm very happy for you. Good. I'm glad. We're glad for you to have you aboard, all that.
Why are you waiting to play?
I know, that's a great question. That's the follow-up question. Where are you right now? But it said, but there's an error. There's now an error showing up when I try to join. So maybe you have, you have the wrong version of the mod pack. You should check and make sure that it's version 1.0.2, Road 9. Question guy who added 200 mods. I'm gonna try again. Did you see the videos I posted in general chat for the Overwatch stream? I have not yet. I imagine something like this, I guess. If someone robs a store, is the cashier the bad person for giving them the money? No, I don't think they're a bad person for giving them money, because I don't think it's about... Because, like, it's easy to rationalize in the moment that, oh yes, if I had a gun to my head, that I would fight the person and let them shoot me and I'd die. Like, that's easier said than done. I think it really depends on their heart posture. Again, are you actively pursuing Christ? Because, yes, it is bad to be cowardly and to let other people step on you. But if you are genuinely seeking Christ and you know that's an area you're struggling with, and you're allowing him to work on you and to change your heart, that'll change. God knows how to peaceably get you to a place where you are being an honorable person who tells the truth, who takes risks, who loves with all their heart, who is patient and kind and gentle, who is humble. He can transform you if you keep your heart open to him. But if you're prideful and you're not willing to, apologize, if you lie, if you do all those things, he can't. That's a heart that he has to either hopefully break or can't break at all because you just refuse to be humble. Yeah, like we need money to buy food, but I have no such degree to work and get selected for a job, so I'm forced to rob for food. Yeah, I will say that is not good. Like, I don't think that's a good thing. I think in the Bible, even it talks about, like, there are different levels of, like, ways things should be handled. And when someone is robbing because they're genuinely poor, like, it's not a good, like, even the Bible, it's not a good thing. The punishment for it is less severe than the punishment for someone who is robbing when they don't need to be robbing. So I know that there is compassion in the Bible for that, but it's still not a good thing. God can provide, even in the midst of absolute depravity or absolute deficit. That's the word I'm looking for. I think very few people know the absolute fear of having the threat of your life being taken away. Yeah, it's hard to say, and those who have are probably already instantly dead. Yes, 1.0.2, Road 9. 1.0.2. To answer your question. So, have I answered all the questions? That is all that I can think of related to that. I hope I, answer them well. No. All right, Zap, you better have something good if you're gonna say no, because if not, this is gonna be where I'm ending the stream. So, more questions. Bring me a good one. All right.
Let the train end at the right station.
Let me just check my phone. Make sure I'm not getting any text about Brandon, you're being too loud. Because there is a point where I'll have to genuinely stop because I know I can be loud, and it's hard to keep myself from being loud when I'm talking about things I'm passionate about. So, give me like 2 days to think. That's a lot of a time there. I don't think I can give you 2 days. I can give you maybe at most 2 minutes.
Good luck. The timer starts now.
That's it. Regardless if someone wants to go to neither heaven nor hell, they make decisions by the life that they live. Like, we decide by the way that we live our life where we're headed. And it hinges genuinely on, do I want to acknowledge that there is a God and seek after this God and to know him, or I want nothing to do with him. Like I choose not to believe in him. Like, I don't think there is a purgatory. I think Earth is the best example of a purgatory. We are in purgatory right now. We are in the place of deciding. But it's not like, oh, I want neither. It's like to say, like, okay, there's a conflict, there's a war, and there's a country that's like, oh, I prefer to remain neutral in this kind of thing. Or there's some form of conflict. Oh, I prefer to be neutral. It's like, I don't know. I don't think there is such thing in this scenario as true neutrality.
A choice is made.
Yeah. can you put the server in the server address? Yes, it is thoughtraid.
.raid.mcserver.us.
Yes, that
Did I
is the
remember
server.
that correctly?
thoughtraid.mcserver.us. Yes, you remember it well. I think it's the kind of sorting hat type of situation. Your choices impact the decision, but ultimately it's up to the hat. No, I don't think it's random either. Random thing. Now, I will say life is random.
If you're the hat, then yes.
Yeah, the life is random. What happens to you when you're on this earth, that's random, yes. And finally, he is here. Good. But I don't think it's random like, oh, yes, arbitrarily, unfortunately, you were not selected for heaven. Hell! I don't think it's that.
To hell with you.
To hell with you. Sorry, but you had the short straw of the stick.
Accurate. You got it so short, you realized it was a straw.
But that's the thing. The sorting hat very much isn't random. Well, then you're going to have to explain what you mean by that and what you're seeing in the sorting hat thing, Zap. So get more specific, Zap. I am inviting you to write some more. Oh, and another follow-up question. What if they're rejected from heaven and hell, and they would stay on the doors, or would they just be on the earth roaming around? No, I don't think... And no, I've not read Harry Potter. By the time that I could read Harry Potter, my parents didn't care. I also didn't really care too much. So no, I did not get to read it. I don't know much about it for the reference. But no, I don't think it's a matter of like, oh, heaven doesn't want me, so hell doesn't want me. No, hell...
It's not like a country.
It's not like
decide whether they take you or not.
Right, it's literally what exists. It's literally picture as best you can, gaming warrior. It's the the place that exists for people that want nothing to do with God, and the place that exists for people that want to know about God, whether it be like they're fanatics or not, but they want to know about God. And it's not. I don't think it's a matter of like, oh, this person, they're a Buddhist and they never heard about God, kind of thing, and therefore they go to hell. I don't think it's that. Like, if someone genuinely has a heart open to God, and then they decide, oh, look, the God has always been this God, I don't think God's like, oh, well, you go to hell because you weren't worshiping me. I don't think it's that, per se, because I think God has baked his reality into everything. So, like, his laws exist, and they're seen not just in Christianity. But I still, that being said, believe that the Judeo-Christian God is the true God. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I think that all other religions have gotten a piece of it, but are missing a lot of pieces, and I don't think that there are any higher gods besides him. So, just putting that out there. But I don't think it's a matter of ping pong, oh, they're now in, purgatory, because hell doesn't want me and heaven doesn't want me either. It's like, no... There's a literal scripture. In fact, I'm going to pull it up. There's a literal scripture verse that says, let me see. Does not desire that any should perish. Yep, there it is. That's in 2 Peter 3. Let me pull that up. Go back over to this. 2 Peter 3. And it was what? Verse 9. But do not overlook this one fact, beloved, that with the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. The Lord is not slow to fulfill his promise, as some count slowness, but is patient towards you, not wishing that any should perish, but that all should reach repentance. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief, and then the heavens will pass away with a roar, and heavenly bodies will be burned up and dissolved, and the earth and all the works that are done on it will be exposed. So, there is a literal scripture verse that says, God wants you. Period. Doesn't say who, everyone. That none should perish. So that means there is no situation where heaven doesn't want you. So... that means the receptacle for those who want nothing to do with God is hell. If you don't want love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, you don't want the fruits of the Spirit, who God is, to know God, to allow who he is to manifest within you, there is a place where you can manifest everything that's not him. And you can explore that to your heart's content and all that comes along with it. So I don't think it's a matter of, because God, he does not want anyone in hell. He wants everyone. Like, what? Again, I cannot overstate this. I cannot overstate this. What good parent wants nothing to do with their child? What good parent wants nothing to do with their child? God is more than our parent. God knows us so deeply, so intimately. He loves us, and he created us, and he created us with a purpose. There is no way in hell that God wants nothing to do with the person, that anyone would say, whoops, you're not welcome, I don't want you. Like, that's not a thing. I'll be getting some rest soon, but I just wanted to stop by and say that y'all are being awesome, and I hope you have an incredible stream. Thank you, Meta. Good to hear from you again. Just wanted to... I cannot state this enough. You, Gaming Warrior, if you see God, I want you to see God as a friend. I want you to see God as a father. I want you to see God as someone who knows you better than you know yourself. That's trustworthy and safe. Speaking on the topic of honesty, the Bible literally says it is impossible for God to tell a lie. So, let me pull up Minecraft again. Saying, so you're talking about the hat. It literally judges you. The sorting hat basically looks into your mind and decides which house would suit you the best. That's a whole different topic. Do you think reincarnation exists? Okay, so that's what you're talking about. So you're talking about the hat, the sorting hat from Harry Potter, that it puts on and it knows like where you'd be suited best. Interesting. Okay, that's what you're referring to. I thought Zap, you were talking about like a hat that you like put, like, you know, you tear up these pieces of paper and put it into, and you just randomly pull something from a hat. I didn't think you were talking about that kind of hat. Got it. I'm on a better page.
Yeah, in the hat.
Like demon says or no, and you get rejected by angels too. Then what? So, like, every demon says no. That's it. Responding to that too, and I don't know if you've moved on from this game, or I'm still catching up with the chat. But it does not matter if angels don't like you. It does not matter if saints don't like, if other Christians don't like you. What matters is what God thinks about you. And I know for a fact that God does not want any one person to perish. Anyone who is submitted to God, it doesn't matter what they think about another person, they're going to follow God, and they're going to learn and see the best in that person because they love God, and they know that if God's trustworthy and he trusts this person, they're going to end up coming to trust them eventually too. Like, it's like having someone who has perfect knowledge of everything, and they say, I trust that person, I like that person, and you know this person does not lie. You know that, you know, this person has really perfect reputation, and they say, I trust that person. It doesn't matter what that other people think. They're going to line up with what that main person says eventually. So, and then Zap, you say, if reincarnation did exist, Could a good person be reincarnated as an atheist or a toxic person? And if that were the case, would everyone end up at hell at some point? I think I can explain reincarnation well in my religion. So there are like this as a rule that when you get married to your loved one, you say in the vow that you want to be with them for 9 lives. I'm gonna give 2 ideas. Okay. So if you're a good person, you'll be reincarnated as a good animal or even a human. If you're a bad person, you'll be turned into a demon. Of course, it may vary from person to person. That's pretty much it. And Sanskrit. I don't know if I pronounced that correct or wrong. I do not know that kind of stuff. Also, hello, Kelly. So, honestly, I don't really see evidence for reincarnation. I have had people claim that to me, but the people that have claimed reincarnation to me have also been unstable people, not really good people, people that I can be concerned for their mental health. But I don't see any evidence of that. And honestly, if it were in this hypothetical situation, if there was a person that was good and they died and reincarnation was a thing, then yes, I don't think they would be reincarnated as a bad person later on. Because if reincarnation's a thing, their spirit exists forward. So I don't really think, like, you know, oh, my spirit was good and now suddenly I have a different spirit that's evil. Like, then that would more suggest that, no, I don't think a person could be, if it were to exist, be reincarnated as a evil person if they're good or vice versa. I think they would just be more or less the same person in a different body. And I feel like they would go through, like, new seasons if there were to be a thing where, like, in general, like, even in our own lives, we go through different seasons where, like, one season I'm pretty confident and bold, and the next season I'm not very confident and I'm more insecure, and then the next season I'm very angry or whatever. But my baseline remains the same. Like, who I am in Christ still remains the same. Sometimes I'm happier, sometimes I'm more sad, sometimes I'm more angry, sometimes I'm more at peace, but I'm still the same person, and in a way we live out reincarnation. Because the Bible talks about, like an eagle renewing our youth. Like, metaphorically, we do go through seasons, different seasons of life. And we, you know, if you looked at 2007 Brandon versus 2023 Brandon, I'm different, but I'm also the same. So there's some consistent things and there's some different things. What if someone was treated so bad, was wronged so bad that they were a good person and then became a really bad person? Then what? I feel like if someone was truly good and they were treated very bad, I don't think they'd become a bad person. I feel like they become a traumatized person. And they would have things that they would have to go through. I guess it is possible that in that trauma that they would decide to give up on everything. And then if they would decide to then never pull up from that place, they're just like, oh, I'm doing great. Then bad things happen. And then I just permanently hate everyone. And they never did anything about that. That would be a problem. But if someone has an open heart posture towards God and they go through trauma, God is still going to be in their life to pull them up from the ashes and rebuild them. And their anger, their addictions, whatever comes out of that is a result of the dealing and coping with the trauma that they've been through and all the bad stuff. But that does not at the same time excuse the good person because of all the bad things they've done. The bad things they've done are still bad. And there still needs to be repentance from that. So it's not like, oh, they're a victim and so they get to do bad things. No. That's not how that works. They're saying, well, Sanskrit is considered as the mother of all languages, like all languages were created from words and grammar of Sanskrit. They'll depend on what they thought to do the next. They would want to be bad, or they'd want to be turned into a good person. And that's the thing, people... I don't think it's just as flippant. It would, if it were to exist, I don't think it would be as flippant as that. Crap, I'll be back. The Solid JJ made a video about a Beyblade Metals Master, and that was basically my entire childhood. Sweet. Curse and blessing. Oh, man. Oh, and there's stuff in the chat. Okay. I have another question, Brandon. Is it okay to keep secrets and lie about stuff? I think it just depends. There are people that are able to handle the truth that you need to speak the truth to. There are trustworthy people and there are untrustworthy people. If you have secrets that no one knows about, that might not be healthy, because the secrets can turn into bondage, and bondage could cause you to do things you shouldn't do. But at the same time, should you share your secrets with every single person? No. Because there is people that cannot handle that, and they will manipulate you and hurt you for it. So not everyone deserves to know your secrets, but somebody does need to. So in answer to your question, and so to lie about those things, I don't think that's good to, at least to the right person. And not, well, to lie in general, no. But like, if there's someone that's kind of like trying to bring out your secrets, you have the right to say, I'm not going to talk about this. That's valid. You don't have to lie about it. You just say, I'm not going to talk about this with you. I don't trust you. And that's valid. And that way you can talk about the situation with the right people and not with people that are untrustworthy. And you can do it in layers. You don't have to give someone all the truth all immediately, because like that's how you kind of test to see, is this person trustworthy? How do they handle this secret? How do they handle this secret? Because some people are going to handle secrets well and some are not. And if you handle it, and then if you give someone a secret and they start spreading that secret, they're probably not trustworthy. Don't keep sharing things with them and hurting your heart. If they handle it well and it doesn't spread and they don't belittle you for it, they don't make you feel less than, share more secrets with them. They are more of a trustworthy person. You just kind of make adjustments according to how each person handles something. And also, welcome back, Zap. And why is there at least 15 minutes of stream so much more sophisticated than the entire other hour or 2 or 3? I don't know. I'm constantly working on... oh, sweet. I'm constantly working on like improving the streams and making every bit of it enjoyable, but I guess sometimes the first part of it falls flat. I don't know, we're just kind of building up to the big stuff. Fortunately, this last half is really good because, you know what? You know what the secret sauce is, Zap? I want you to look at me in the eyes, all right? Look at me in the eyes, all right? Do you see these eyes? I want to tell you what the secret sauce is, why the last bit of the stream is so impactful, the last 15 minutes. You know why? Because you're asking me questions. You are bringing up things to me that is important to you, and therefore it's infinitely more interesting to you because it's something that's important to you. I can only talk about things that are important to you if you ask me questions. You see? Look at me in these eyes. Questions, that's what helps, all right? I don't know what's important to you. I don't know what's important to everyone. That's why I periodically ask you guys, what should we talk about? That's why there is a suggestion box on Discord. If there's something that you are interested about, that you want me to talk about, that's interesting content to you, suggestion box. That's what it takes. That's what makes this interesting. I am interested on taking on thoughts and finding better ways of thinking about them. It's what Thought Raid's all about. And laugh at Brandon. Wow. I don't know how it's... Well, it's daytime for who? For me? Where I'm at? Can you walk into my house? Finally, still not finished it, but it's coming together. Okay, yes. Let me come and see what you're doing. So, yes, that's how it's done. If you want Thought Raid to continuously be interesting, ask questions that are important to you, and I will do my best. If I can help you, I'll tell you. If I can't, I'll tell you. I will not lie to you and tell you I know something when I don't. If I don't know something, I will tell you, and if I think I might know something about it, I will make it clear that I think I know something about it. Yeah, it's doable. Because honestly and truly, I'm not going to judge you for it. And if anyone in this place judges you for it, I'm going to be upset. Show me what you've been doing.
I built a chandelier.
Ooh, what a fancy chandelier. Hello. That's really fancy.
I don't think you're showing your screen on the stream.
Oh! Rip. Sorry. There we go. Yeah. It's really... It's a fancy... There we go. I got it fixed. Don't worry, guys. This is
you can see the fancy one now.
The fancilier. You got this wall bigger out now.
Yeah. I decided to put a wall to it so that way it's.
And
more
we have a
divided.
ceiling.
A little ceiling.
Nice.
There is a second floor now. I was working on the top floor / roof.
Mm-hmm.
Of this place. You can actually take this up here, and it's very flat right now, but
nice.
It's coming together. I flew over here so I could see my house. Yay! It's coming. it's exactly what I want it to look like right now.
Well, Zap, hearing that, do you know how much effort I put into asking like these 5 questions? Well, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for putting in some work, for coming up with some questions, knowing that it's not easy for you to ask questions like this. I'm proud of you. Thank you for taking the time to figure out questions to ask. I'm very happy that you took the time to do that. It means a lot to me. So thank you. Okay. Welcome back. It's not enough. I mean, if it takes that much effort for you to come with 5, it's good. I can't help you come up with more questions, though. But I will say, I probably am coming to a place where I legitimately should stop, because I probably am getting loud, and I'm probably not... It's not helpful. And Axeman says your house is looking great, Jeremy.
Thank you, X.
And I probably would end up waking up my upstairs roommate, so I don't want to do that. What's up, Road 9? Frog lights. Nice. Can you look up the aisle right now? Because I want to see your reaction to it. I need to make a separate thing for that, a reaction video, because if it was sooner in the stream, I might do that. But at this point in the stream, I am getting legitimately a little bit tired, so I think I am going to end it here soon. My conversation ability on topics like these have drastically improved since I started watching. Good! I'm excited, Zap. I love hearing that. I'm very glad that it's helped. I remember the first time Get Naked Monday stream I watched, and I felt like I walked into the wrong classroom. Even still, Row 9, I know it might be short, but it would be better for me to do that on a next stream rather than this present stream. Because I'd just like to have the right mental space for that, and I've been in the mental space of like talking through deep stuff, and so it'd be a little bit of like whiplash for me to go and watch the aisle. I know it's disappointing, but if you come to the next stream, I will try to focus on that early on. Well, when you come in, I'll try to have that prepared to go to and have a reaction to that then. You are contributing, Zap, and you're taking baby steps, and I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you. Don't overdo it, but today was the most fun Thought Raid stream it was. I appreciate that. Have you brought me fish? Mayo stream, oh dear God. That was worse than I thought it was going to be. Like, few things can I legitimately say are worse than I thought it was going to be.
That sounded awful.
Yes, and thank you for eating a fish in my face. Goodness. Alright, and this music is nice and peaceful, perfect for closing things out, so it's perfect. It's perfect! I love it. Let me bring my Streamlabs app over here. Alright, well... Oh wait, did you and Ryan play this game? Yes, yes I did, Kelly. Now he hasn't played on my new server yet, and I'd like for him to. I've tried to get in contact with him not too long ago, but I haven't heard from him. But he has played. We have played Minecraft in general, because that was like the first game that I founded UGN on. So, so I want to thank you guys for watching. What is happening in my room? What are you doing? Why are you walling me up? What is... This man is literally walling me up in my own bedroom. What is happening? Okay, well... Anyways, now that you've done that, I'll focus, Lord. Alright. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you've enjoyed this stream, I would like to invite you to join us on our Discord if you've not done so already. Because, like I was saying... The way that we get good streams is when you provide questions to ask, and there is a literal suggestion box that exists on our Discord where we keep track of anything that you ask, and I do keep track of it. We've had multiple streams now that has been on a topic you guys have suggested, and I will not stop, talking on things that are important to you. So let me know what's important to you, what you're interested about. I will not shame you for it. Like, if you're a Christian struggling and you don't know where your faith is and stuff, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask hard questions about Christ, about your faith or whatever. We can explore them together. If I know, I'll tell you. If I don't, I'll tell you. If you're not a Christian and you're curious about Christianity, we'll talk about it too. Or if it's nothing about Christianity at all, just something about life, I'll talk about it. Whatever it is, Thought Raid is here to help people through whatever they're going through and to find healthier ways of thinking that results in a life that's richer. I want to make you guys as rich as I can in character. Can't necessarily guarantee the money part, but I can guarantee to some degree, depending on your willingness to work with me and listen and be humble, to provide as much richness as provided to me and give it to you so that you could be richer for it. So I really wanted to be able to be there to help you guys. So if you've enjoyed this, join us on Discord, because we also do stuff outside of stream. Sometimes we're just in there playing games together, and other times we're sharing memes. So we'll invite you to that. It's a community, and we'd love to have you be a part of that. And I would be remiss to say, if you also enjoyed this, and it really has hit you to your heart, we have a Patreon and a PayPal. If you would like to support us financially, you can do so on Patreon or on PayPal, because I would like to do this full time. I would like to shed myself of any other job so I can work on providing more like, I say content, but really more talks, more opportunities to be able to, be there for you guys. New types of videos, not just streams, but maybe short videos and stuff like that. And all that requires money. Like, I have to pay bills, and I cannot do that, unfortunately, without support. But at the same time, there's no pressure, because I have a full-time job. So I'm not I'm not destitute. I would just like to be able to make that my job. And the other part of that money, after going into the investing into thoughtraid and into allowing us to be able to focus on this full time, is going back into the community, because we do give away what we receive in part as well. So it would be supporting us, would be supporting other people. So if it means a lot to you and you would like to support us financially, that is in the Patreon. The link to that is in the description below if you're on YouTube, or in the panels if you're on Twitch, or if you're on Facebook. It should be in the description as well. But no pressure and no expectation. I just wanted to put that out there if this means a lot to you and you would like to help us do more. So, all that said, I want to thank you guys for watching. We broadcast every week on Monday, Friday, and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be live again this Friday with some more gaming. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I love you guys. Good night.
I see a potential in my eyes. I see a potential. I never lost sight of the reason why. You're alive. You're alive. You're alive. We sing Jesus. You're alive.